a 46-goal scorer this year, the leading goal scorer of the Blackhawks. Number 28 as he roams on the right side. It's now Savard and Secord joining Larmer. And the Blackhawks can't hold it in. So Bill Gardner, Mr. Versatile on this Blackhawk team, goes back to get it. 39 seconds left in the Blackhawk power play. There's Mr. Steady, Bob Murray. Winds it around. Secord. It is kept in. Gardner. And it is stolen, but still put in front. Savard, right in front, Larmer, smothered by Malash. Out to the point, Murray, across to Gardner. Back the other way, kick save made by Malash. Well, after that first goal, Malash has really been on target. The wraparound, and Malash has that one. So Malash has come up with 3 or 4 brilliant saves since he left a bad one in.
He really has, Al. Steve Larmer, number 28 for the Hawks, is going to be shaking his head because he was left all alone in front with just Malash. Here you can see some of the work Malash doing in his net. That puck bouncing around out there as the Blackhawks had excellent control of it. Number 18, Dennis Savard, setting up behind the net. There you see Al Secord coming into the screen. And that's exactly what Al Secord is out there to do, is to set up the screen. Malash really making some key saves, but the best of all was definitely on number 28, Steve Larmer. He had 2 whacks at it.
After 2 in Philadelphia, Flyers holding on to that 1-goal lead. Sinisalo doing the scoring. And Pelle Lindbergh now going for his second shutout in that series. A Philadelphia win. They have won the series, beating the Islanders in 5 games. An Islander win, it sends it back to the Nassau Coliseum Tuesday night for game number 6. 4 seconds left on the Chicago power play. 1-0, the Blackhawks lead. Troy Murray, and it's off of Hartsburg's knee into the corner. Hartsburg covering up on Lutzen. Teams are now at equal strength. O'Callahan, the tip, and it sails into the crowd.
The Blackhawks are an excellent disciplined team at getting those shots from the point right along the ice. Ludzik, I think, got a piece of that one. There you see him, number 29, Steve Ludzik. I think he just came into the high slot as that puck was coming off of the stick of Jack O'Callahan, number 5 for the Blackhawks. Talking about versatile players, Steve Ludzik is a pretty versatile player too. He's out there really in a 4th line situation a lot of the time, but also kills penalties. He and Billy Gardner do a lot of that.
A high stick is called on Minnesota. Went off Hartsburg's stick and then caromed to his teammate, so it's whistled down. 7.5 minutes left in this first period of play at the Chicago Stadium. The Blackhawks lead this series 3-1. They split the first 2 games here. Incredible games. In the first game, Chicago had a 3-0 lead. Minnesota stormed back for 6 goals. In the second game, the 2 went into the record book, scoring the quickest 5 goals in Stanley Cup history. Did it in a matter of 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Right in front, Savard, unable to get his, or rather Troy Murray couldn't get the stick on the puck, and in the meantime, Bob Myers will be calling off a North Star. So when we come back, the Blackhawks will have another power play. As we pause now for these words from our local cable system.
Our players in the box. It is number 28, Harold Sneps, that gets the high sticking penalty. 12:38 is the time. Right in front of the net. Watch Harold Sneps. There you can see him right in front of Malash. Big Harold Sneps getting that stick up high and doing an awful lot of pushing there. And he is paying the price for it right now by sitting in the penalty box.
Nothing subtle about Harold Sneps. So Minnesota will be a man down, trailing 1-0. Dennis Savard, the man who scored the goal for the Blackhawks, trying to set it up. Larmer takes a bump at the Minnesota line, and Chicago comes back. So Chicago just stopped on a power play. Gilles Valache coming up with some fantastic saves to keep it at a 1-goal deficit. What a play by Dirk Graham, but the Blackhawks survived that one. Murray bangs it around the boards for Larmer. Lets it go to the point. Wilson hands it to Savard. He can't hold on, and Dave Richter smacks it all the way down. 1 minute, 15 seconds left on the Sneps penalty. Bob Murray cruising out, hits the red line and shoots it in. Troy Murray right on the back of the North Star. And Murray digs it out. He has a man open. Keith Brown fires. Glove save made by Meloche.
Keith Brown really got that stick up high and just released that puck. He let that puck just go sailing through the air. Meloche coming up quickly with a save.
Let's go downstairs now, wherever he may be, to Al Troutway.
Al, no surprises this time, just in the old USA studio. Looking forward to our first intermission. For Steve Larmer of the Chicago Blackhawks will be here. He missed that golden chance against Gilles Meloche a few moments ago. Maybe he'll have some thoughts about that. After that, another edition of Dan Kelly Remembers. He'll look back on another great Montreal-St. Louis Stanley Cup final. And what about this building? It's unbelievable what a great place this is for hockey. Back to you.
Well, Al, just warming up here in the first period. One of the lowest scoring first periods in this series. 1-0 Chicago, 6 minutes, 10 seconds to go. Blackhawks on the power play. Savard takes a long look. Right in front, and Murray misses.
Troy Murray knocked number 2 Kurt Giles for the North Stars over, sent him flat right on his face practically, and that opened up a lot of room for Troy Murray. The Blackhawks couldn't get the puck to him.
25 seconds on the Blackhawk power play. Ben Wilson rolls it around. Meloche looks behind him. He knew there was a Hawk. And it comes out to Ben Wilson. Wilson cross ice to Keith Brown. Shovels it to Lysiak. Lysiak holds. Deciding what he's going to do. 5 seconds left in the power play. And Meloche breaks that one up. Ben Wilson turns, shoots, save!
Good play by number 23, Ben Wilson. He just made a nice turn and let that puck go right on net. A pretty good screen set up in front of Meloche. Ben Wilson did exactly the right thing. He just let that puck go. The puck was really taking some funny bounces out there. There's when number 23, Ben Wilson, just wheeled with it, turned right around, almost a 360-degree angle, and released that puck.
Actually, you saw Meloche get the stick to deflect it. If he had not done that, Wilson would have even had a better shot. Wilson early in this playoffs having some problems getting beaten on goals. But you realize he is the highest plus-minus player for the Hawks in the playoffs at +10.
Well, he's come a long ways in this series since game number 1 here, when he really had some bad giveaways that in a lot of ways cost the Chicago Blackhawks the game.
He's got to watch what he eats, claiming it was food poisoning. 5 minutes to go in this, the first period. Chicago 1, Minnesota 0, and the teams are at equal strength. As Meloche pokes it again into the corner, a pirouette there by Bill Gardner. Luxick hammering along the boards, and Gord Roberts for Minnesota. 2 men in on him. The forechecking deep by the Blackhawks, and here is Marouk. Drops it from McKegney. His shot, and a good one, and a stick save by Bannerman. As Shervin takes a run into Bannerman. And the Blackhawks go in offside with 4.5 minutes to go in this first period.
Number 26 for the Blackhawks, Rick Patterson, was way offside on that one. And there you look at another number 26, Gord Shervin for the Minnesota North Stars. He was put in the lineup on Thursday night in Minnesota. He didn't get a lot of ice time, but Glenn Sonmore said tonight before the game he wanted to use Shervin a lot more early in the game. He said, I could have used him in that overtime period, and I fortunately just hadn't used him enough during the game. And that's always a concern of the coach. You can't just stick a guy out there in overtime cold. He may be the goat on a goal for you. So tonight, Shervin has seen some ice time early.
Well, if that had gone another 1 or 2 overtimes, I'm sure we'd have seen more of Shervin.
I think so.
Players were taking 15 to 20-second shifts towards the end of that first overtime period. An NHL Stanley Cup Classic. Bob Myers is calling a penalty on Chicago.
I'm really surprised at that one, but Myers didn't hesitate the least bit. Bob Myers handing out, you could see it, the high sticking penalty.
From coast to coast in all 50 states, it's the Stanley Cup playoffs only on USA.
2-minute high sticking penalty. 15:48 is the time, and there you see number 6, Bob Murray, sitting in the penalty box.
The 10th penalty of this first period. And the North Stars go back on the power play. They trail 1-0. We have 4 minutes, 12 seconds left in period number 1 here in Chicago. Ron Wilson. Watched by Gardner. Hartsburg. Brian Bellows now looks towards the net. He shoots. And Bannerman takes care of that. Bannerman, who's terrific with a stick, able to get it out. Wilson keeps it in, and here's a break for Gardner. Racing with Milosh, and Milosh easily puts it off the boards. Bellows, a bouncing puck, but it's picked up by Wilson. Cross ice to Payne. Payne is bumped there by Brown. Bellows gets to it. Hartsdale. Berg fires, and it's a kick save. Hartsburg gets it again. Ron Wilson on the screen. Nice setup again by Wilson, but he shot it high. Hartsburg knocks it down. Here is Bellows. 1 minute to go on the power play. Acton. It is Payne congesting in front of the net. Crowd screaming. Acton wide. Minnesota again doing a good job of working that puck around. Keith Brown smothers Acton. Payne has it. He has his points open. Hartsburg, a great threat. He has 4 goals in the playoffs. Wilson cross ice, and Acton cannot hold on. 30 seconds left in the power play.
Interesting, Al, that both of these clubs, when they've been killing penalties tonight, have not played aggressively in their own end zone. They just set up a very disciplined box. That's because the power plays have moved the puck around so quickly. You have to stand back there, defend, get in your position. Otherwise, they'd be slipping into the slot, the best shooting areas, very quickly.
Here's Broughton. And Cicerelli is upended by Doug Wilson. 3-on-2 for the Hawks. It is Wilson off a screen, and he hits that screen. Troy Murray puts it in front, and look at this break now for Minnesota. It is Cicerelli with Graham, and in the line change, Chicago gets 2 men back on. Broughton still has the puck, and it slides all the way through. The penalty is over. The team's at equal strength. 2 minutes on the nose remain in this first period. Chicago 1 and Minnesota 0. The goal scored by Dennis Savoy. Neil Broughton ahead to Graham. The long shot, and it is wide. Secord plays it off the boards and leaves it for his defenseman, Ben Wilson. The long pass right on the stick of Savard. Savard with Secord and Larmer, and they go in offside.
We have really had a high-paced game so far in this first period, and a little bit of rough stuff going on right now. There you see Al Secord, number 20 for the Blackhawks. He, of course, is the man responsible for policing some of the smaller players in the Blackhawks, and it didn't take long for big Willie Plett, number 24 for the North Stars, to jump right in there.
Secord, a one-time 54-goal scorer, but stomach injuries last year, groin injury this year, and now trying to get back up to that standard. But regardless, many consider him the heart of this Blackhawk team.
No question, Secord is one tough, rugged individual, and he likes to stay on the ice, though, and if it comes right down to it and he's going to fight, he's not going to think twice about it. Believe me, he will do that battle. But the Blackhawks really can use him on the ice in the corners, and with Savard and Larmer especially, he feeds it out to them.
A minute and a half to go in this first period. Troy Murray walks in. The shot saved by Milosh. As Olchuk got the shot off, and Fraser was right in the crease with the goaltender. Offside. Minnesota, as Willie Plett waves that down to the linesman, saying no way.
I think Willie Plett was wrong on that play, though, because he was a little bit ahead of Dennis Marouk. Willie Plett has been playing some of his best playoff hockey, especially early in the playoffs in the St. Louis series, where he was really the leader for the North Stars. They got them going. He was playing his physical game. He was doing everything that Coach Glenn Sonmore asked of him out there, and a little bit more on top of that.
But last year had 6 goals to lead Minnesota in that category in the playoffs. He has 3 in the playoffs this year. Coming down to the final minute of the first period here in Chicago. Tony McKegney leads the charge for Minnesota. There is Plett battling with Olczyk. McKegney walks in, the shot right out there, and there goes the net as Hartsburg ready to drill it. But his teammate McKegney pushed over Murray Bannerman, and there went the net.
You could see number 25, Tony McKegney, as he was sitting in the net, looking at referee Bob Myers as if to say, you're not going to give them a penalty for that? Here I am sitting in the net. The net is off his post. And I couldn't very well score from that position. McKegney now going for a much-deserved rest. McKegney has been a good, solid player in playoffs for the North Stars as well. I like his abilities to go up and down that wing and do some good, solid work in the corners. McKegney has got a lot of heart.
Speaking of a lot of heart and solid work, Murray Bannerman getting ready in front of his goal. He is not allowed any vulcanized rubber to pass him here tonight. 49 seconds to go in this first period. 1-0 Chicago leads. Lysiak the draw for the Blackhawks against Acton for Minnesota. You see the time remaining in the first period. And it is whisked away by Keith Brown. Knocked to the ice by Payne. Here is Acton in front. The backhand, it deflects wide. Payne using his muscle, puts it in front. And Ole Yaremchuk is there. And he busts out with Daryl Sutter. Sutter returns it, intercepted by Brian Bellows. 28 seconds to go in this first period. And Ben Wilson retrieves it for the Blackhawks. Sutter skating with Payne. That's Steve Payne. Hartsburg. 12 seconds left. And Keith Brown winds it up. Here's Sutter. He'll get the shot. Scores! 6 seconds left.
A very important goal for the Blackhawks. There you can see at the top of your screen how little time is left. That puck sent into the corners. Look at the way that it came out. Played perfectly by number 27, Daryl Sutter. He really raced for it. He saw where that puck was coming, and you know, that's a real advantage, Al, knowing your own boards in your own rink. They gave off a big rebound. It was just like a pass to Daryl Sutter.
Keith Brown shot it in. He gets the assist. 19:54 is the time. There is the siren to end the first period. And what a killer for the Blackhawks. The shots on goal in that first period for Chicago, 13. For Minnesota, 12. Coming up, joining Al Trautwig in between periods will be the Blackhawks' top goal scorer in the regular season, Steve Larmer, a 46-goal year in his third season. This is a 6th-round draft pick, Steve Larmer, who will be with Al Trautwig. The score at the end of 1 period of play, the Blackhawks 2, the North Stars nothing.
This bartender's the next big league pitcher. And loves to serve fire-brewed Strohs. See what I mean? That was his fastball. That was the curve. Look out. Wild pitch.
What was that?
Relief pitcher.
Strohs and Stroh Light, fire-brewed for smoother taste.
Smartest move I ever made. So many projects, so many opportunities. Tulsa Welding School, known around the world, gave me the ability and the chance to be who I want to be. Taught me everything from blueprints to pipeline welding. And job placement got me $25,000 the first year. Now I have the security and satisfaction to go where I want and do what I want.
Call for free catalog, 1-800-331-2934. The Tulsa Welding School, the smartest move you'll ever make.
We are today's typical traveling business couple.
Our jobs take us separate ways.
So essential to our relationship is the precise use of time.
Trust.
And of course, United Airlines.
United serves the top business centers.
And all 50 states.
They take us wherever, whenever.
I'm doing 9 cities in 7 days.
I'm 8 cities in 6 days.
Only United could handle a couple like us.
See you in a week. Good luck, Martin.
Same, dear.
You're not just flying.
Judith?
Martin?
You're flying the friendly skies.
No other heat gun removes paint faster than the Wagner Power Stripper. The Power Stripper is faster on latex, faster on oil. The Power Stripper gives you 2 temperature settings and a range of tips to give you versatility few heat guns can match. The new Wagner Power Stripper. It's the perfect tool for taking paint off from the people who know so much about putting it on. Wagner, the right tool for painting.
On Tuesday night, the Stanley Cup continues on USA. We'll have a division final for you. We're not exactly sure where, we're not exactly sure when, but join us Tuesday night for one of the Game 6s in one of the divisional finals in the Stanley Cup playoffs on USA. After one period of play here in Chicago, Darryl Sutter's goal with only 6 seconds left in the first period gives the Blackhawks a 2-goal breathing room method, and it's 2-0 for the Blackhawks over the Minnesota North Stars in this Game 5 of the Norris Division Final. On the assist on the first Chicago goal, you might notice the name of Steve Larmer, who's with me in our studio now. Steve, the Blackhawks seem to be playing with a lot of enthusiasm. I saw everyone lined up on the blue line during the national anthem, clenched fists, almost hoping that the crowd would be louder than they were before, if that's possible.
Well, I don't think that is possible, because they're, by far, it was the loudest it's ever been in here since I've been here. Tonight was by far the loudest. And, you know, we're excited about this game because we don't want to play another game against these guys this year. You know, we want to get it over with tonight.
Well, especially when you know that when you lead 3-0, it's not enough, which is what happened in Game 1 of this series. You know that against Minnesota, there's a big turnaround that's always possible.
Well, they're a team that doesn't quit, and I'm sure they're not going to tonight. They're going to keep coming right at us, and we got to be ready for them and, you know, turn it around and go at them. You know, play our game. We can't worry about what they're going to do, but, you know, hopefully let them worry about what we're going to do.
Okay, watch the TV screen we have in the studio. Let's take you back now. 3:32 of the first period. Steve Larmer at the top of your screen. I'll get it out. What do you remember?
Well, the puck come up to me, and I just chinked it over to Dennis Savard in the middle, and he just stepped over the blue line and let a spot start go to beat Milosh low to the stick side. You know, we're trying to get as many shots on net as we can, and then from everywhere, too.
Steve, I want to take you back to the marathon on Thursday night. What a game that was. Did you push your body to the absolute physical limit, or did you have more left?
Well, it was pretty tough walking out of the rink after that game. You know, it was the longest game I've ever been involved with, and, you know, but I think we had enough energy to get out of that rink after because we won, and, you know, Darryl got a big goal for us that night, and, you know, it took a lot of wind out of Minnesota's sails.
Steve, that goal by Darryl with only 6 seconds left, a little bonus, and we always, sportscasters seem always to say what a big lift it is in the last minute of a half or a quarter or a period to get a goal or a last-second basket or something like that. How much of a lift, though, in your mind, do you feel that goal gave the team?
Oh, it's going to give us a tremendous lift because we really didn't play that well that period, and, you know, getting a goal with 6 seconds left by Darryl is going to give us a big lift. You know, we're fortunate to get out of that period up 2 goals, and I think we realize that, and we're going to have to double the effort for the second period and see if we can, you know, get a couple more goals.
We've spoken a lot on USA about the similarities between these two teams. You know, they both switched coaches. They both had a disappointing regular season, but the Hawks seem to blend a little bit earlier than the North Stars did down the stretch of the regular season. You were really pushing St. Louis. Is this really just a culmination of getting all the healthy players back? Is this really what we're seeing, the real Blackhawks now?
Yeah, I think it is the real Blackhawks right now. It's a lot like the team was 2 years ago when we, you know, got to the semifinals to play against Edmonton. And, you know, the right attitude is there now. We've got the healthy players, and everybody's working hard. And it's not just, you know, 1 or 2 players that are doing all the scoring on this team right now. It's a combination of 20 players because pretty well everybody on this team has a goal in the playoffs. And we're getting help from everybody, and that's what we need to do well in the playoffs.
Now, you have a couple of power play goals. Something else we've spoken an awful lot about is the frustrating situation with the Blackhawk power play. What's going wrong with it?
Well, we're just, we're not very patient right now. We're, you know, trying to make plays that aren't there. And, you know, what we got to do is just move the puck around a little bit more and wait for the openings to happen. You know, we can't force the play. It's got to be there.
All right, Steve, thanks very much. Good luck in the rest of this game. The Blackhawks do lead 2-0. Our guest has been Steve Larmer of the Chicago Blackhawks. And for being with us, he'll receive from Loris Quartz Watches and Clocks a very handsome Quartz World Travel Alarm Clock. And so we continue live in Chicago. When we return on USA, we'll hand it over to Dan Kelly, and he'll hand us some memories from the 1969 Cup Final between St. Louis and Montreal. Stay with us.
Wherever you go in America, There's one source of starting power the weather's found tough to beat. The Sears Die-Hard. From the original Die-Hard battery to the newest, most powerful Die-Hard ever made for your car, in Credicell. Die-Hard is still the replacement battery more Americans have confidence in than any other. Think of it as a recommendation from a few million of your neighbors.
There's more for your life at Sears. There's only one Super Bowl of cereal, and there's only one taste that makes it. The super taste of Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Just think of crispy golden flakes.
Delicious, crunchy flakes of corn.
So pure and simple, just can't wait.
Low in sugar, loaded with vitamins and iron.
So good for you, don't hesitate.
For a Super Bowl of our most nutritious corn flakes ever.
What a Super Bowl. Have yourself a Super Bowl. Kellogg's Corn Flakes. Super taste, super good. Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
We're on a roll. As a matter of fact, lots of rolls of the finest carpet made in America. Plush, long-wearing, stain and soil-resisting, static-retarding, gorgeous Philadelphia carpet at House of Carpet, 401 South Front Street. House of Carpet is more than the name implies. It's a complete interior decorating center. You can get some great professional advice at no charge regarding ceramic tile, window treatments, wall coverings, formica counters, wood and vinyl floors, plus furniture and accessories. House of Carpet is more than the name implies.
House of Carpets, you do it right.
Yakima Dodge continues its endless efforts to offer the best selection at the lowest prices, and those efforts are now in full swing with Yakima Dodge's first annual Price Blitz. Price Blitz means selection. New Dodges, new Bobos, new Mazdas. Price Blitz means big savings on over 200 new and used cars and trucks in stock. Price Blitz means low down payments, low monthly payments, whatever it takes to get you the best deal possible the first time. Come on down to the first annual Price Blitz, Yakima Dodge.
Back live on USA in the Windy City. The Blackhawks 2, the Minnesota North Stars nothing through one period of play. But the Blackhawks leading in this Norris Division final series 3-1. The North Stars, of course, if they don't win tonight, are out of this thing, and the Blackhawks will move on to face the Edmonton Oilers. But there are 2 periods between now and then. We're going to give you another edition of Dan Kelly Remembers as he takes us back to 1969. The Blues were a successful team then. They were playing Montreal.
Rebound cleared. Pinmore, it's up. He scores! Into Anderson. Cutting right in. He shoots. He scores! Lumley shoots it down the ice at the empty net. He scores! Dave Lumley goes it up.
Another Stanley Cup final that I was a broadcaster on was the 67-68 final, actually in 68. And I was still in Montreal as a part of the Hockey Night in Canada Montreal broadcast crew. But next year I moved to St. Louis, and I've been there ever since. Anyway, it was the first year of expansion, and St. Louis had won their way into the final. Glenn Hall was fantastic in goal. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy that year, even though his team, the Blues, lost in 4 straight to Montreal that year. He was selected as, or elected as, the Conn Smythe Trophy winner. A great series because St. Louis had some of the old great Montreal figures on their team. Doug Harvey, Dickie Moore. Dickie Moore playing on one leg. Doug Harvey at 40-some years of age. And they had a ball against their old coach, Toe Blake, and against their old Montreal teammates. And the series wasn't close. Montreal won the series in 4 straight games. I think, if I remember correctly, all 4 games were won by 1 goal. Montreal dominated the series. Glenn Hall was just sensational in goal and made a mismatch a series, even though his team lost in 4 straight.
See Glenn Hall without that mask on. You don't see that these days. And when you look at those old Stanley Cup playoff games and you're in Chicago Stadium while you're doing it, it really gets you pumped. You see the Blackhawks on the ice and you just feel it in your veins, the great history of Stanley Cup hockey in this building. We'll hear more from Dan Kelly in our continuing coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But for now, we look ahead to the second period with the Hawks in front, 2-0.
The tornado broke this window and 4 other windows in these 2 cars. I've never been through anything like that in my life.
Allstate update. Fast, fair claim service.
Monday morning, we called Allstate, and when I came home from work Monday afternoon, they had people in the driveway repairing our car windows.
I was amazed they could get here as fast as they did. We've got a lot of damage in this neighborhood. If you're ever in a tornado like we've been through, you want to be in good hands with Allstate.
You're in good hands with Allstate, a member of the Sears Financial Network.
Do you have prior military experience in the civil engineering field? Well, the Air Force Reserve has a unique opportunity just for you. It's called the Individual Mobilization Augmentee Program. Through this plan, you serve only 1 day each month or 3 days per quarter. Polish up your skills and still get many of those great Air Force benefits. See your local Air Force Reserve recruiter today or call toll-free 800-257-1212. Now more than ever before, today's Air Force Reserve is a great way to serve.
Setting off to find America. Gonna take my own sweet time to find America.
Kodacolor VR films, capturing America in all its glorious colors.
And everywhere I see people smiling back at me, so glad to be in America.
Kodak film, because time goes by.
Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. The technology behind it gives this driver engine protection he can depend on. And this driver. And this driver. And this driver. Mobil synthetic oil technology. There's no finer engine protection on Earth or anywhere else.
Welcome back to the Chicago Stadium at the end of 1 period. It's the Chicago Blackhawks 2 and the Minnesota North Stars nothing. The scoring in that first period, Dennis Savard, his 6th of the playoffs at 3:32, a shot that came from the blue line. And then with just 6 seconds to go at 19:54, Darryl Sutter scored to make it 2-0. It was a killer.
Al, the Hawks were doing a lot of dumping and chasing all night long. That was Keith Brown, number 4, who just shot the puck in. He really caught Craig Hartsburg flat-footed at the blue line. Darryl Sutter just raced in, beat him to the puck, and wound up and drove that puck as if he was going to drive it right through Milosh.
Starting to think that perhaps the North Stars don't feel comfortable unless they're down by 2. Remember the first game here, Minnesota was trailing 3-0 to the Blackhawks before coming back to score 6 straight goals and then win it. And then Friday in game number 4, the North Stars were down 4-2, 2 goals to the Blackhawks. They came back with 3 in a row to move in front by 1, but unable to hold on.
I don't think that you can count on that, though, Al, and I know that they have been a team, as you heard Steve Larmer say, that won't quit, and they have good reason to think that way, Chicago that is, because the North Stars have been able to come back. But tonight, in this second period, I think that's really going to tell the tales that the Blackhawks continue to play better. Steve Larmer said they didn't play well that first period. I thought they played pretty well. If they can play a lot better, then I think the North Stars are in some trouble.
All right, Coach, a little psychology now. You know, the goal with 6 seconds to go certainly gives the Blackhawks a lift. But with Minnesota, if they had come back 1 goal behind, they knew they were 1 goal, they had to get it to tie. But knowing they're 2 goals behind, perhaps does that not prod them or push them even more?
Well, maybe it will, but I would sooner only be 1 goal behind, of course. I think, Al, that I've always said that if you get a goal scored on you in the last minute of play, then it's really detrimental to your team. You go down with those stairs into the Chicago dressing room, or the Chicago visiting dressing room in the case of the North Stars, with your chins down, kind of, the adrenaline kind of goes down, and it takes a while to get it back up again. So I just think that a coach will use it, and Glenn Sonmore will use it, but I think that you're at a terrible disadvantage when you get scored on the last minute.
Glenn Sonmore feels that this Minnesota team is more effective when they play physically. Can they play now as physical, being down 2 goals?
I think they can. I mean, I don't think there's any question about the fact that they can play a physical game anytime they want, provided that they play physically and not physically stupid. I mean, there's a big difference. If they start taking a lot of bad penalties, then that's just going to give the Blackhawks all the chances in the world.
And there is Glenn Sonmore now, looking up that long climb from the locker room to the arena. The teams are now on the ice getting ready for period number 2. And Gary Green, in the first 4 games, these two teams combined for a total of 42 goals. They combined on 78 shots per game. And here in the first period, you have 2 goals that are really questionable. One from 60 feet, the other was 6 seconds left. This easily could have been a 0-0 first period. Certainly very uncharacteristic for this series.
Well, I guess what you're asking is the fact, what's wrong with these two teams? They should have scored more goals in that first period. But everyone gathered around Murray Bannerman right now, and this man has really gone the distance for the Blackhawks. We thought that maybe he might be in some trouble the other night when he had that long game, because we failed to mention it, but Bannerman in the past has had a history of cramping up in long games, and I guess he has a stomach problem, but the doctors have that under control with some medication, and if he wasn't going to cramp up in a game like that, he's never going to cramp up.
And Gilles Meloche, that first period, he made some brilliant shots, but the 2 goals certainly nightmares. The 60-footer from the blue line off the stick of Dennis Savard, and then he got no help with 6 seconds left and beaten by Daryl Sutter. The shots on goal in that first period, Chicago with 13 and Minnesota with 12. And we are on our way. Period number 2. The North Stars have to storm out. And here's McKegney, number 25. Snaps, puts it in front as the defenseman going deep. Hartsburg rattles it off the boards for McKegney right in front, and Marouk overskates. Snaps at the blue line, setting up the backhand, being hit by Fraser. And Minnesota quickly with the pressure on. But Troy Murray comes out for Chicago. It is Murray with the speed, the long shot, and Meloche misjudged that one, but it went wide. Olczyk puts it in front, and it's swept aside by Hartsburg. Olczyk digging for the puck, and there's a whistle behind the goal.
Meloche really fanned on that shot. I don't know whether or not he has got some problems concentrating, or whether or not he just hasn't been able to see those pucks. Maybe big number 28, Harold Snepp, was in his way.
In the Minnesota end. 2-0, the Blackhawks lead. And Tom Lysiak will step in for the draw against Keith Acton. The crowd settling down, over 17,000 strong at Chicago Stadium, strong and loud. Gord Roberts right in front of his goal, but he clears it out to Brian Bellows. He puts the long one off the glass. Acton leaves it back for Roberts. He shoots it across, and Daryl Sutter, the hero in game number 4, scoring the goal in the second overtime, and coming up with a big goal here in the final seconds of the first period. Checking the scoreboard in Philadelphia, the score, Philadelphia 1, Islanders nothing in the third period. There are 9 minutes left in that game. Pelle Lindbergh throwing the shutout at the Islanders right now, and if it continues, the Islanders are eliminated, and Philadelphia will go on, and they'll face the winner of the Montreal-Quebec series, in which Quebec leads 3-2, Game 6 Tuesday in Quebec.
Meanwhile, here as the officials help scrape up some debris from the ice, players get another opportunity to grab a little bit of rest. Faceoff's going to be deep to the left of Murray Bannerman. And we were talking earlier about the problems that Bannerman has had in the past, and the fact that he has been on some constant medication in order to stop him from receiving those terrible stomach cramps that have forced him out of games in his career as a goaltender. And you just know with the Chicago goaltending situation, Al, they can ill afford to have Murray Bannerman leave.
Not ready to put in Warren Skorodensky, huh? Who is certainly a crowd favorite here in Chicago. I don't think any goaltending tandem in the league has more letters in their name than Bannerman and Skorodensky. And now these two are asked to leave. So Lysiak steps out and Acton steps out. The two number 12s leave the face-off circle. Yaremchuk, number 15 for the Blackhawks. And Bellows, number 23 for the North Stars. The long shot by Richter, and Bannerman picked that up at the last moment. Not only making the save, but clearing it right onto the stick of his defenseman. Ben Wilson shoots him in. Comes around the boards to Brown. He plays it behind. Richter for Minnesota. Looking for the lead pass. And Acton unable to catch up with it. Roberts fakes the shot, and a poke check away by Lysiak. Berglund plays it across ahead to Acton, who can move. Tries to split the defense. Still on the puck, and it's finally cleared. Sutter can't get it out. And Gord Roberts beats Yaremchuk, the speedy little flyer for the Blackhawks, to the puck. Here is Sutter coming in. And Malash standing up to that wrist shot. Richter bumped off the play by the pesky Yaremchuk. Puts on the brakes. Right in front. Secord's shot goes wide. Savard in front. As DuPont, the defenseman, was checked off the play. Yaremchuk keeping it alive. What a shift for Yaremchuk. Secord fires and scores!
Called it. Al Secord may have scored the goal, but it was Ken Yaremchuk, number 15, that really did all the work, hustling down in the corners, controlling the play, and keeping that puck in. There you see number 20, Al Secord. He wasted no time. He just released that puck quickly, beat Malash. Secord gets the goal, but a heck of a job by Ken Yaremchuk.
And the Blackhawks expand their lead to 3-0. Just 2 minutes and 24 seconds into the second period.
You can hear the fans' reaction when the big guy, number 20, Al Secord, it has been announced, scored the goal. DuPont getting an assist as well as Dennis Savard. 2:24 was the time. I guess the Blackhawks are going to play better this second period.
And the irony of it, as you pointed out, Yaremchuk isn't even in the scoring. So if you read this about this game in the box score, you won't even know he was involved in the goal, and he was the one who made it.
Oftentimes that's the case, Al. It's the guy that does the forechecking, doing the work in the corners, and Yaremchuk has such tremendous speed. He's a good hard worker. He has been accused of not being the greatest playmaker. I think he's made some good strides at developing that skill. He has become better at playmaking, but he just simply used his hustle and desire to keep that puck in. Unfortunately, you can't give out more than 2 assists, and so therefore Yaremchuk does not get a point.
And now the Minnesota North Stars, as you take a look at the man who made it happen, Ken Yaremchuk, just 20 years old, a #1 draft pick by Chicago. He was the 7th pick in the draft. Minnesota now, Gary, has to look back to game #1. When they were also down 3 goals-0 and did come back.
You see the worried look on Glenn Sonmore's face, though. He knows tonight is not game #1, and it's not the same type of attitude here at the Chicago Stadium. And of course, Ben Wilson does not have food poisoning, and he's not about to give the North Stars an opportunity through some bad giveaways, I wouldn't think, as he did in game #1 that really got the North Stars back into the hockey game.
Well, everything is straightened out on the ice, and we are ready to go. 17:36 left in the second period. And it's Minnesota. Belichick making his first appearance on the ice. He had 2 goals Friday night. Hasn't been on the ice until now. Dino Ciccarelli, and the crowd here in Chicago really rides him. Ciccarelli is dropped, but a penalty coming up to Bob Murray. And that's exactly what the doctor ordered for the Minnesota North Stars. They're down by 3 goals, but now they'll be up 1 man.
When they put a heavy load on your shoulders, there's nothing like having a friend you can count on. A new Toyota electronically fuel-injected 1-ton truck. It'll carry over 2,500 pounds. And with an optional towing package, you can pull up to 5,000 pounds. The Toyota 1-ton truck. Thanks, old buddy. Right now, cash incentives to dealers can save you big money on a cargo van or truck.
Bob Murray, number 6 for the Blackhawks, sitting in the penalty box once again tonight. That's the second minor penalty that he's received. 2 minutes for hooking was the call. 2:45 was the time. Now, on that play, Dino Cesarelli really tried to carry the puck into the zone all himself. Bob Murray eventually pulled him down. But I think the North Stars are going to have to start doing some dumping and chasing themselves. The Blackhawks were lined up pretty decently at the blue line. Tough to get inside when they're aligned that way.
Hartsburg goes cross ice to Ron Wilson. Hartsburg puts it in front, kicked out by Bannerman, and cleared. The North Stars realize that this right now is just about a must. They have the man advantage. They could strike and get back to within 2. Plenty of time still remaining. 17 minutes in the second period. Hartsburg clears Marook. Skating in. He shoots. And a rolling save by Bannerman. Marook from behind seemed to be impeded in his progress, but Bob Myers letting that go. No penalty, says Myers.
I think Doug Wilson, number 24, just kind of got his stick up, but you could see Marouk was using his right hand in order to hold Doug Wilson's stick as well. Let's take a look at it again. It's easier to tell from that upstairs angle. And you could see that Wilson's stick, when it went up, Marouk's right arm went out and kind of grabbed the blade of the stick. So I think Bob Myers was in good enough position that he could tell that.
Regardless, Bannerman had to come up with the save. And Minnesota setting up. Hartsburg off the screen, shoots, kicked out by Bannerman. As you could hear that popping off the pad. A minute 23 left in the power play for Minnesota. They have worked the puck extremely well on the power play, but goose eggs as far as getting one by Bannerman. Ron Wilson plays it back to Hartsburg. Puts it ahead onto the stick of McKegney. McKegney hustling, dropping to Marouk. Off the screen. Kick save by Bannerman. He has been simply sensational. Hartsburg right on the stick of Marouk. Closes in. Moves in even closer. In front. Hartsburg fires. And it's off the leg. Patterson blocks it. Patterson breaking out. He's pulled down. No penalty there. And back the other way quickly. McKegney to Marouk. Across it goes to Wilson. Cannot hold on. And there's Patterson again. 35 seconds left in the power play. Marouk heads in. Cross ice he goes. And Ciccarelli plays it into the corner. Back to Ciccarelli. And Ben Wilson fires it down.
Good patience by Ben Wilson. He just pulled that puck inside and then held on till he found room in that corridor to throw it down.
Murray Bannerman has closed the door. Hartsburg right in front. Broughton gets it back. Graham the shot smothered by O'Callaghan. As the penalty is over, the team's at equal strength. Minnesota certainly getting a few good shots on net. But again, they were stopped by Bannerman. Here's Wilson on a 2-on-1 with Dirk Graham. Graham, the righty, the shot, and a kick save by Bannerman. Back the other way, O'Callaghan, the long drive.
Bannerman really kicking those pucks out dangerously in the slot, though. He's lucky he's got some help back there.
The steal by Larmer. And Secord puts it off the boards. Right in front. And Bellows from Minnesota starting out. Blocked by Larmer. Across to Savard. Looking in front. Secord takes it nicely. And a wicked hop. Larmer circling back to the blue line. Keith Brown. He has time. Drives it. And Graham looking to just clear it out. Fans on the shot, but the puck comes to center ice. 3-0. Chicago leads. 6 minutes into the second period. Al Albert along with Gary Green and Al Troutwood bringing you Stanley Cup hockey on USA. Bo Berglund, his first appearance on the ice tonight. As Glenn Sonmore looking for fresh legs from the speedy Berglund. Dave Richter, number 5 for Minnesota, winds it around. And now it's Minnesota coming out. Acton with speed. And he is leveled. Berglund brings it in, and it comes back out again. Richter the long shot. And Bannerman had some problems.
I think Keith Acton was shaken up pretty good on that collision. He didn't seem to know where he was when he went to the bench.
Well, the Blackhawks looking for number 12 since Friday when he decked Bannerman from behind. The Blackhawks break out. Lead pass to Sutter. He shoots. One save by Malash. Then he backhands the loose puck. Pretty by Gilles Malash. The score, Chicago 3, Minnesota nothing. Will return right after these words.
Can you believe it? JT with an $18 million contract?
Sure is a long way from the playground.
Think he still drinks Strohs? Yeah. Hey, guys.
JT, Mr. Millionaire.
Richard. Timothy.
This is all right. He didn't forget his friends.
Or his Strohs.
Where is the Strohs?
Out by the pool.
The pool?
Strohs and Stroh Lights.
Now that's a cooler.
Fire brewed for smoother taste.
Well, we have continued the pace in this second period, Al. Starting to open up a little bit more, and I don't think Bob Pulford really wants to see that happen. We've got lots of scoring opportunities out there. Both goaltenders have really played well. Made some key saves. Malash, though, overall, he's let in a couple of bad ones.
Gord Roberts takes it behind, being chased there by Olchuk, and then gets it out. 3 Blackhawks are back. Platt tries to fight his way through. Centered, and Gord Roberts unable to hold on. So Roberts goes back together with Troy Murray on his back. This has been a terrific checking line for Chicago. Not only that, they've been scoring goals. They're only second behind the Seacourt Savard line in goals scored in the playoffs. Right in front, and Platt fans. McKechnie back to the point. Richter slides it in, and Bannerman fights through the screen. This is Fraser along with Richter, and Richter nicely spins away from Fraser. McKechnie to Platt, and it's a 2-line pass. A break for Chicago because O'Callaghan had fallen down with Platt coming in.
We'll see lots of Willie Platt because when this Minnesota North Stars team's behind, they look to him for some leadership, especially in the dump and chase department, trying to get the pucks out of the corners and get them to the valuable men. I had mentioned earlier, well, let's take a look first of all at Keith Acton. He says, I'm all right. He got leveled pretty good, and you can see Doc Rose, the trainer for the North Stars, administering to that cut over Keith Acton's right eye. I'd mentioned it almost seemed contradictory that Gilles Malash has played well, but yet let in a couple of bad goals. He has made some real key saves in this game, Al, but yet gave up 2 bad goals.
Actually, Chicago should have 3 goals tonight, but not those 3. Exactly. Minnesota busts out 3-on-2. Broughton in the middle. On the right side, Bannerman squeezes it between the pads. He can do no wrong.
Looks like it's his night. Bannerman is playing well. The North Stars have pretty much gone with the matchup that they have been forced to go with, and that is, as we mentioned in the first period, Neil Broughton out against Savard. That is Bob Pulford's choice. Bob Pulford has last line change. He wants Dennis Savard out there against this man, number 7, Neil Broughton, really the best center iceman that the North Stars have. He played in each and every game the North Stars have played this season.
Although his production this year really down, 19 goals, 37 assists, 56 points. 3 years ago, he was a 98-point player. 3-0, Chicago leading Minnesota, hoping to wrap up the series right here in game number 5. And Minnesota going in offside. For our local systems, we'll pause now. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs live only on USA Sports.
At Evergreen Datsun, we're out to generate sales on our great selection of small trucks. So until the end of April, every truck other than the standard models that's sold will come with a Nissan 600-watt portable generator. This includes king cabs, sport trucks, and 4x4s. Come in and make the best deal in the valley on a small truck. Drive away with your gas-powered generator. It's Evergreen's way of generating sales on their line of small trucks.
In Philadelphia, 1-0 Flyers. They are now down to the final 1 minute and 53 seconds. The Islanders unable to solve the puzzle of Pelle Lindbergh, looking for a second shutout in the series. Philadelphia holds on. They win it in 5. Savard checked back to the blue line. Graham, number 21 from Minnesota, and chasing back for it is Larmer. We have 11 minutes, 10 seconds left in the second period here in Chicago. The home team leading 3-0. Belichick, he had a man in front, but busting out now is Larmer. Larmer over the line. Larmer across to Savard. It's right in the crease, and it goes in. Malash could not get control of the puck. And the stadium goes wild for the 4th time tonight.
We will see it, and we will see it from this angle. First of all, you got to say it's a bad goal again. Malash had it and then lost it to number 28, Steve Larmer. But let's not jump on Malash's case right now, because where was some help? He did not have that help. There's no way that Steve Larmer should have been able to get a second poke at that puck once it was underneath Malash. That's your defenseman's responsibility.
And the joint is jumping. You could see the Blackhawk bench. They are tired. And that's why they're so pleased, because now they feel the chances are very good. They'll have this week off before they go to Edmonton on Saturday.
The North Stars have felt, and obviously Coach Glenn Sonmore has felt, that 4 goals too much, and especially the way that those goals have been scored on Malash. Don Beaupre, he played in Thursday night's game until he was pulled and replaced by Malash, is going in for the North Stars.
Larmer gets the goal, his 4th of the playoffs. Savard on the assist at 9:08. And there is the veteran Gilles Malash, a free agent at the end of this year. Sensational in the St. Louis series. He said his career was on the line in that series, but unable to come through in this one. So Don Beaupre comes in. He was shellacked Friday night, gave up 6 goals on the first 20 shots he faced, but he has had great success against the Blackhawks this year, but it may be too late. The only redeeming factor for the North Stars is that there's quite a bit of the game remaining. 10 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the second period, and the North Stars know that they have exploded on the Blackhawks before.
Tough for your goaltender to come in when you are down 4-0, but for Don Beaupre right now, all that he can hope to do is keep the puck out of the net, and that may give, in fact, his team an opportunity to grab a little bit of momentum. They have not been able to beat Bannerman tonight. So if there's any hope whatsoever, and this game is only half done, then the North Stars are going to have some big goaltending from Don Beaupre.
Beaupre this year against the Blackhawks in the regular season in 4 games only lost 1. Victorious in 2 of them in 1 tie. Malash faced 13 shots in the first period and 6 here in the second. So he faced 19 shots and gave 4 goals. Bellows has some room. And Lysiak put some muscle to Berglund. Berglund wheeling in a crowd. Yaremchuk takes it away. Here's Hartsburg. Across to Berglund. Back to Hartsburg. In front on the screen. And it's swept away by both the defense, and Bannerman may have even got the stick on that
2
one.
Blackhawk players there and 3 Minnesota North Star players all in front of Bannerman. He still gets a piece of it.
10 minutes gone, 10 minutes to go in this second period here in Chicago. Yaremchuk peeling out for the Blackhawks. Still playing with a puck, eluding Willie Plett. Fraser can't get around Ron Wilson, who has a quicker stick. And Al McKegney shoots it in. There is Plett racing for it. A nice move by Ron Wilson. Across to McKegney. He shoots and he scores. Tony McKegney finally beats Bannerman.
Well, that changes things quite a bit. The North Stars changed goaltenders. Now they finally score a goal. Tony McKegney, but it was nice work by number 34, Ron Wilson. You see all those moves he made from the point before finally setting up Tony McKegney, who put that puck low and underneath the Bannerman. You can see Bannerman going down, but by that time it was too late. McKegney had put the puck in the net.
And here the North Stars back again. 4-1 is the score. Willie Plett, his back pass, but it's past Marook. And Gord Roberts goes back for it for Minnesota. McKegney the goal from Ron Wilson at 10:28. McKegney's 6th playoff goal, 5 against the Blackhawks. Troy Murray right in front. O'Callaghan hits McKegney, and now Plett trying to lead man Marook, but it is too long. The block by McKegney. Delay offside against Minnesota as the puck comes out of the zone. 8 minutes and 50 seconds to go. In period 2 in Chicago. Blackhawks 4 and the North Stars 1. Roberts for a cutting Cicerelli. And now Secord. Olczyk cross ice for Savard. Giles on him. And Broughton back the other way. Bob Pulford, of course, warning his Blackhawks not to relax on that big lead. Savard played off the puck. Savard stays with it. The magician behind the net. And it comes all the way back. And chasing for it is Murray as he has Dino Cicerelli on him. Larmer with some room off the boards for Secord. And it comes back. 8 minutes left in this second period. Chicago 4, Minnesota 1. Larmer gets by Giles. Unable to get by Belichick. Beaupre hasn't faced a shot yet. Broughton drops it for Cicerelli. He drills it. And Bannerman got the stick on that one. The Blackhawks boomerang back the other way. Larmer with Graham all over him. Larmer, shifty move right in front as Sutter shoots that wide. Laziak, and it's blocked by the defense. Keith Brown keeps it in. Sutter can't hold on. Wraps the stick on the ice. He's upset at himself.
What a job number 28, Steve Larmer, did on that last shift. He just has tremendous moves, and it takes 2 North Stars to take him out of the play. That leaves room for another Blackhawk player to sneak in.
7 minutes, 15 seconds to go in the second period. Keith Brown winds it around. On the left wing is Sutter. He takes a bump from Acton. Lysiak, the veteran, in his 12th season, 6th here in Chicago, after 6 in Atlanta. And Gord Roberts, watched by Sutter. Well, we'll be down to 3 Sutter brothers left in the playoffs. Troy Murray and Beaupre makes his first save. He likes that one for the first one from 50 feet out. 6.5 minutes to go. Second period. And the Blackhawks keeping the puck in the Minnesota end. Bellows, and he gets a check from Troy Murray. Fraser drops it to Olczyk. Olczyk, saved by Beaupre. Took it right under the chin, and then Beaupre takes a swat at Fraser, who returns the stick. Here's Plett fighting through, and things really intensify after that Minnesota goal, although it still leaves him 3 goals behind. We'll be back in just a moment.
Spilled a cup of coffee, ruined a sweater, boss is screaming, send this letter, call Emery, and it's as good as there. Emery's on the case, so you don't have to worry. We go any place, get it to you in a hurry. From the biggest to the smallest, it's as good as there, just call us.
Hi, Emery?
It's as good as there.
The New York Islanders, a Stanley Cup finalist in each of the last 5 seasons. It's history this year for the Islanders. They have lost to Philadelphia 1-0 and have been eliminated in 5 games. So the Philadelphia Flyers continue on to the next series. They'll meet the winner of the Montreal-Quebec series. And the Islanders are through, the earliest they've been through in 6 years. Giles Drills it wide. A sprawling Bannerman, and there again in the crease was Willie Plett. And we have a penalty coming up. Both Plett and O'Callahan were fighting in the crease, and we'll figure this all out when we return. We break now for our local cable systems.
If your old washer and dryer is putting you through the ringer, ring out the old and bring in a new Whirlpool appliance from Schultz Furniture. Right now, Schultz Furniture will gladly give you $150 in trade for any washer and dryer, whether it works or not, when you purchase a brand new Whirlpool. That's right, $150 trade-in value for that old washer and dryer on a new Whirlpool appliance from Schultz Furniture.
Schultz Furniture stands behind a great reputation.
Number 24, the big rugged Willie Plett, sitting in the penalty box. 2 minutes for high sticking was the call. 14:16 was the time. Let's take a look at it. There you can see Plett. He had his stick up, no question about it, in a collision with Jack O'Callahan, number 5, the defenseman for the Blackhawks, and also the goaltender, Murray Bannerman.
It appeared, though, as if Callahan may have pushed into Plett, raising his stick. But regardless, it is now Chicago with a power play and a 3-goal lead, and they're taking their time, making sure they set up correctly. 5.5 left in this second period. Savard with a burst of speed off the stick of Secord, who chases after it. Comes back the other way. Bob Murray slaps it around. Doug Wilson with Broughton right on him. Wilson keeps it in as he kicks it along the dasher boards. Harold snaps. Runs it down. Secord. There's a heavyweight matchup. Secord and snaps. Richter. And he hauls that off into the crowd. Let's go downstairs now to Al Troutwig.
Al, at the end of the period, I'll be talking to big Harold Snaps of the Minnesota North Stars. I don't know how happy he'll be, but it should be an interesting conversation. Then one of the real funny things about coming to Chicago Stadium. You see, our studio is so far away from the locker rooms that we have to use a golf cart to bring them back to their studio. And, well, it's probably one of the best rests that they get all evening. So join me at the end of the second period.
Al Troutwig going, gone. Now you see him, now you don't.
I tell you, you can say that more than once or twice.
We have 5 minutes left in this second period. Chicago 4, Minnesota 1. Chicago in the 5 games, and they haven't played a 5 complete yet, have 27 goals and only 3 on the power play.
If they ever get one right here, though, Al, boy, that is going to sink the North Stars pretty deep. They're already deep at 4-1.
Blackhawks are the highest scoring team in this year's playoffs, and can you imagine if they had their power play going. Acton kicks it back. There's Secord fighting through. A minute 7 seconds in the Chicago power play. Savard looking to wave that magic wand. Wilson off the boards for Larmer. Acton breaks out for Minnesota. Shorthanded goal certainly would give the North Stars a lift now. Bellows, though, retreats. 40 seconds left in the Willie Plett penalty. Plett has been spending a lot of time in that penalty box. 58 minutes coming into this game in this series. But that, of course, nothing new to Plett. Wilson smacks it right in front, and that was Sutter getting the shot. And here's Acton with a man, Bellows, but 2 Blackhawks are back. 20 seconds on the power play. Bellows on the screen, scores! Brian Bellows does it, short-handed, and Minnesota does get that goal. And the silence is deafening here at the Chicago Stadium.
You said it, Al. If they got a shorthanded goal, it would really get them going. Well, here's the shorthanded goal. A drop pass by Keith Acton, number 12, to number 23. Brian Bellows was just released on that shot, and what a shot it was. It beat Bannerman clean. You can see from behind the net, great camera angle. Bannerman making the sprawl, but not in time. That puck going in. Wow, that one stings the Hawks.
What you can call a Bellows bullet. And with 4 minutes left, the Minnesota North Stars are back in business. Chicago still with 5 seconds remaining on this ill-fated power play. Here's Ben Wilson trying to turn it around. Beaupre with the save. right in front, and it's swept away by McKechnie. And here are the North Stars rushing to get out. Willie Plett out of the penalty box. The goal by Bellows with Acton and Belichick on the assist at 16:01. And we'll be back with a final 3.5 minutes after this.
The 1985 Toyota Workforce is going to have you whistling while you work. Introducing the dependable cargo van from Toyota, the newest workhorse of the workforce, with more room than any small van. Together with a tough Toyota 1-ton and Toyota's lowest price work truck, the Standard Bed, this workforce will have you whistling while you work. Right now, cash incentives to dealers could save you big money on a cargo van or truck.
Along with Gary Green and Al Trotwood. It's a new hockey game. Minnesota busting back for 2 goals after Chicago had taken a 4-0 lead. So the North Stars not lying down here. McKechnie and Bannerman had some problems with that one.
All of a sudden, after Bannerman seemingly could do no wrong, the North Stars have got some confidence now. 2 goals, and now they are shooting away. They're carrying the puck into the Chicago end zone, which the Blackhawks let them do fairly easily, by the way. And then Bannerman, from a fairly easy position, just gloved that puck and held on to it.
So the big guns for the North Stars strike. McKechnie, their leading goal scorer in the playoffs, and their captain, Brian Bellows, after Larmer had given the Blackhawks a 4-0 lead midway in this second period. The North Stars could only look back and remember what they have done before against Chicago, and they know they have come back from the large deficit.
Now that they've scored a couple of goals, they should keep shooting on Bannerman right away. They've got him thinking, and so keep firing away as much as you can from every angle out there.
3 minutes and 16 seconds left in this second period. McKechnie faces off against Olczyk. Frazier plays it ahead to Troy Murray. And Hartsburg sends it to Maruck. O'Callaghan leads for Troy Murray, but he can't hold on. Dennis Maruck, one-time 60-goal scorer, then with the Washington Capitals. Here is Frazier. And it scoots by. Hartsburg for Minnesota, clearing pass to Willie Plett. Plett shoots it in, and now chasing after it. Bouncing puck as Plett wraps Doug Wilson. Back the other way, Troy Murray. Acton for Minnesota, and he is turned around on the boards. Gord Roberts. Here's a break for Minnesota. Acton leading the attack. The back pass, and the shot goes wide. Berglund chasing it down, but Sutter beats him to the puck. Acton back the other way, but he had one skate in the zone. Offside against the North Stars.
Well, meanwhile, Brian Bellows and Keith Brown were still way back in the zone, hanging on to each other for some ridiculous reason. Daryl Sutter, who scored the big overtime goal in Minnesota on Thursday night. Pretty easy goal. In fact, Daryl Sutter will probably tell you one of the easier goals he scored in his life. All he had to do was practically breathe on the puck, and it was going to go in. Malash had got caught on the first shot and was out of the net, and Daryl Sutter was the man that had worked hard to get in that position first of all.
He has 2 game winners in the playoff series for Chicago. The captain, the guy who's an 11th round draft pick. Ben Wilson can't split the defense. Ron Wilson back the other way, a 3-on-1. Berglund across to Acton. One pass too many. And now we have a whistle and a penalty coming up, and it's against Chicago. Ben Wilson decking Keith Acton. The Blackhawks certainly have Acton's number 12, and Chicago in more trouble.
Ben Wilson is the man going to the penalty box. Al, the Blackhawks really getting sloppy defensively once again when they've had the lead. 3-on-1 the North Stars had here. You can see that Ben Wilson coming late into the picture. No question he was guilty of some infraction. He gets it for elbowing, but he could have got it for hooking or holding or a couple of other things. But the important thing for the North Stars is right now the fact that Wilson getting the penalty. They've got an opportunity now on the power play, and boy, the momentum is in their favor.
18:05 left in this, or rather, the time is 18:05, a minute 55 left in the second period. And Minnesota could creep even closer. Glenn Sonmore hoping he is watching one of the dramatic turnarounds in Stanley Cup play. Hartsburg, as you see, just put that puck on goal, and the crafty Bannerman deflected it out of the playing surface.
Well, let's go back in this second period when Gilles Meloche let in the fourth goal by the Blackhawks. A bad goal, and that was enough as far as Glenn Sonmore was concerned. He pulled him. And you could tell right now, I'm sure Bob Pulford could feel it coming, that as soon as that happened, as soon as Beaupre was able to get into the game, make a couple of saves, that's all that it took. The North Stars finally broke Bannerman's bubble, and away they went.
It's not as if Beaupre made any uplifting saves, but it's an instance where the change was made, and at that point it appeared as if Minnesota came alive.
Well, after a few of those goals that Meloche was in, just making the save was good enough.
Graham wraps it around. A minute and a half to go in this second period. Hartsburg whirls. Remember, Minnesota was down 4-2 the other night. Here's Wilson heading in. Hartsburg keeps it in at the point. And then Murray slaps it down for Chicago. Beaupre out of his net, just doing anything to get more and more warmed up. Ron Wilson with a minute to go in this second period. And the North Star power play going nowhere. They are 0 for 3 on the power play tonight. Hartsburg, nice move to get away from the checking Murray. Marouk cross ice. Wilson is there at the point. Right in front, Marouk, open net, and he glances it off the post.
They're not going to come much easier than that one. Bannerman gave Marouk a lot of room there.
Inches away from a 4-3 hockey game. Here's Marouk again. He shoots. Oh, what a save by Bannerman. Sticks out the stick and stops Marouk.
Marouk will really be upset now. I know how he feels when he does not score.
Coming in all alone. 10 seconds now left. And Bannerman lifting the spirits of the Blackhawks. Offside is called with just 2 seconds remaining, and the crowd will respond now for Bannerman.
Dennis Marouk has had a number of good opportunities in this game to score. In fact, probably enough to put the North Stars in a lead situation right now rather than trailing 2 goals. He will be very, very frustrated. I can't really use the words that Dennis Marouk is thinking right now, because that was the second time that he was foiled by Bannerman. The first time, it wasn't by Bannerman, it was by the post that foiled Dennis Marouk.
Marouk unable to lift that puck. Bannerman did all he could. He was on his way down and at least covered with his stick. And he got it. 2 seconds left in the second period, but this Chicago Stadium now buzzing as the Minnesota North Stars have come back and made this game going into the third period after trailing 4-0.
Taking an awful long time to drop a puck in the neutral ice with 2 seconds to go.
Minnesota will have, for whatever it's worth, 5 seconds still in the power play in that third period. So the teams skate to the locker room here in game number 5. Chicago leading the series 3-1. That man in the middle, Harold Snaps, the veteran defenseman of the Minnesota North Stars, will be the guest of Al Trautwig in between the second and third periods. The score after 2 periods of play, the Chicago Blackhawks 4 and the Minnesota North Stars 2.
Crow Wing, Minnesota and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Crow Wing means Northern Pipe, big and mean, and Old Milwaukee means a great beer, cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer, and smooth golden Old Milwaukee Light. It's a beauty.
And Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light.
Taste as great as their name.
You know, doesn't get any better than this.
My son, the big shot, flies United Airlines like I got all the money in the world.
Oh, now, Amo. Maybe he got a discount on United.
Oh, Margaret, the kid just has no business sense.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom.
Hey, okay. What'd it cost me, huh? Ah, son, you know, you gotta start... Hey, wait a minute. That's a bargain.
Flying United for the same price you'd pay a so-called bargain airline. Now that's a bargain.
My son just got his first deal.
You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies.
This week on... Once again, Schultz Furniture brings the largest selection of lawn and patio furniture to the Valley. Schultz presents the latest designs and colors in outdoor furniture now at 20% off. Perfectly impressive for entertaining a group or just enjoying your own backyard. Spring into Schultz now for 20% off their large selection of summer furniture, where the great outdoors is inside the doors of Schultz Furniture.
Schultz Furniture stands behind the great reputation.
The switch is on to KMWX. You're gonna love the hits.
What's love got to do with it?
Believable news, unbelievable music.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you.
The switch is on to world-class radio.
I wanna live forever. Light up the sky like a flame.
The switch is on to AM 1460 KMWX.
On Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern Time, the Montreal Canadiens and the Quebec Nordiques will face off in Game 6 of the Adams Division Final at Le Colisée in beautiful Quebec City. That will be on USA Tuesday night, with the Quebec Nordiques leading in the series 3-2. Right here at the Chicago Stadium in the Windy City. After 40 minutes of hockey, the Blackhawks 4 and the Minnesota North Stars 2. Minnesota out-shooting Chicago in that period 15-9 and out-shooting Chicago through the game 27-22. It could be a lot worse for Minnesota right now, although I'm sure they're not very happy with where they're standing. As a matter of fact, I don't even have to speculate about how they're feeling. I can go to Harold Snepps in our studio. Harold, as I said, it could be worse. It could still be 4-0, but you are able to get those 2 goals back.
Well, it's tough, especially the way Bannerman's been playing this game. You know, if we would have scored the goal that hit the crossbar at the end there with Dennis Marook's shot, we could have been 1 goal down. But we've come back before in earlier games, and it's a seesaw battle. It's not over yet.
I notice on the stat sheet you haven't been able to get an assist or a goal yet. Have you been struggling, or are you changing your style of play a little bit?
Well, I'm usually playing with Craig Hartsburg, so what happens, he'll do all the gambling and all the offense, and I'll back him up. So really, they don't really want me to get involved in any of the offensive play, and I'll just be happy to defend against scoring goals against our team.
Earlier in the game, when Willie Plutt got a penalty, I noticed you seemed to emerge as a very large figure on the ice. Do you feel a different sense of responsibility when Willie's in the box? Because the 2 of you are really the physical leaders on this team.
Well, it's always nice to, you know, have a Willie Plutt on your team. I played against him many years, and, you know, he has my respect, and we have a couple other physical guys, so it's always nice, instead of carrying the load yourself, that you have someone to back you up.
What came across your nose there?
Willie Platt. He was hitting everything in sight the other game, and he even hit me.
The double overtime game the other night, I know it must have been emotionally just crushing for the North Stars, but the overriding feeling that I got from the players I spoke to is that you really feel you should have won games 3 and 4.
I thought so. We outplayed them, especially in the 5th game there, and or should I say the 4th game, and we just didn't get any breaks. And in playoffs, you need a couple of breaks, and especially in overtime, you need that lucky break to win the game. And we didn't. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. But like you said, it's not over yet, and you know, there's 20 minutes to play. Anything can happen.
Coming into tonight's game, I get the feeling that when the buzzer sounded the other night and Darryl Sutter scored, this was in your mind just about every moment. I don't think there was probably a stretch of many minutes where you didn't think about getting to Chicago and playing this game and getting back in this series.
Well, the first thing, even before the game, it's silent in the dressing room. We know it could be our last game of the year, and everybody just speculates on what they have to do on the ice for tonight's game. And right now, it's probably quiet now. It's do or die. We either have to come out and score a couple of goals, or it's on the golf courses.
The golf cart again he's talking about. In the 3rd period, how do you not take chances and take a bad penalty in your over-enthusiasm to get that goal? How do you temper that enthusiasm?
Well, we have to take chances. We just got to hope that Don Poultry is going to be really hot. There's going to be a couple 2-and-1s, 3-and-2s against our team, and we just hope we'll capitalize on our chances, and hope, like I say, John Bulper's got to stop their chances.
All right, Harold, thanks for stopping by. Harold Snepps, who knows what it's like to go to the final. He did that with Vancouver a few years ago against the New York Islanders. And for being with us on USA, we'll give Harold Snepps a Kodak disc camera. Just pull it out of your pocket, and it's ready, aim, shoot, and smile, because you're going to get it with the Kodak disc. When we return on USA, we'll step aside for the Wall Street Journal Weekend Memo. We'll show you how the Philadelphia Flyers eliminated the New York Islanders, and we'll bring you up to date as to what's transpired so far in Chicago in this game. In the meantime, we take you back to this date in Stanley Cup history. The year was 1984. Last year, 7 power play goals against the Minnesota North Stars. Edmonton 8, Minnesota 5 in the conference finals. It was quite a performance by the Edmonton Oilers that night. Harold Snepps does not want to look at it right now. We'll be back on USA in a moment.
Look how water can destroy unprotected wood, but not if it's protected with Thompson's Water Seal. Use Thompson's Water Seal waterproofer on dozens of surfaces. Brush on Thompson's for an invisible barrier that helps prevent water from entering and damaging brick, wood, and concrete. Your house isn't really protected until it's protected with Thompson's Water Seal. Many stores now have special values on Thompson's Water Seal.
Shrink to fit only you. Do the things that you do. It's a personal way. Wear 'em every day. Nothing like these jeans, the coolest jeans I've seen. 501 Blues. Levi's button fly. 501 Blues.
You know, when I started dipping Kodiak, made my friend here real happy because it's his brand. Now it's my brand, too. It's good and moist with a special cut that packs right, and it's got a big, fresh wintergreen flavor. But don't take my word for it. Just ask my friend here. He's really got away with words, don't he?
Memories of the smiles we left behind, smiles we gave to one another.
Why trust moments like these to anything other than Kodak videotape? It captures the sights and sounds of every moment with color that's beautifully accurate, unmistakably Kodak.
For the way we were.
When the moment means more, trust it to Kodak videotape.
Chicago, where the Blackhawks lead the Minnesota North Stars 4-2 through 2 periods of play. We're getting ready for the 3rd period. That'll be coming up in a few minutes. And we're going to step aside for the Wall Street Journal Weekend Memo.
Staying power and offshore oil. Next.
The Wall Street Journal Weekend Memo with William Bruce.
It could be anywhere. Anywhere full of love, lust, and longing.
My Prince Charming is lurking somewhere. Peyton Place.
A place where passion ignites and scandal has nowhere to hide.
Tell me, Dad. Why did you have to pick on the mother of the girl I've been going around with?
Mia Farrow, Ryan O'Neal, Barbara Parkins, and Dorothy Malone in the original continuing drama, Peyton Place, on the USA Network at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific weekday mornings.
Survivors in the rough and tough oil business usually make up the rules as they go along.
Don't tighten it up too tight now, it's gonna burn it up.
It's really an ugly, dirty, nasty, 24-hour-a-day business, but it's in our blood and we want to stay in it.
Kelly's company, Odeco, has stayed in since the 50s, in good times and bad, becoming one of the world's largest offshore drilling contractors. Odeco's founder, retired Navy Commander Doc Laborde, was also the father of today's offshore oil rig. In the 50s, while other companies were building huge stationary platforms that were fairly useless if they didn't strike oil, the timing for Laborde's idea was right.
Seemed a worthwhile risk, and as I say, I had nothing but my reputation, which was also nothing.
But it was astute balance sheet management, not luck, that accounted for Odeco's success. Foreseeing the boom coming with the Iranian Revolution, Odeco invested its capital in debt retirement. When the bust came, the strategy worked perfectly. Half of Odeco's 37-rig fleet was bought from distressed competitors, often at 50 cents on the dollar. In addition to drilling wells for others, Odeco also drills for itself. During lean times, its rigs keep on working to build its own oil and gas reserves. A smart move, say analysts, given the possibility of another OPEC-style oil crisis. I'm William Bruce.
Radio 1990's Week of Stars returns with a new look at such innovative artists as Holly Johnson of Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Daryl Hall and John Oates, Gene Simmons of KISS, Peter Wolf, and Diamond David Lee Roth.
How about that for rock video music fans?
At 7 p.m. on USA Today.
This is the USA Network.
Back at Chicago Stadium, the Blackhawks leading the North Stars 4-2. The North Stars scoring 2 straight with their playoff hopes for 1985 on the line. Still that exciting third period to come. We'll see if Minnesota can capitalize on what they established down the stretch of that second period. Meanwhile, at the Spectrum in Philadelphia tonight, there was a changing of the guard. The Islanders playing in a must-win game against the Philadelphia Flyers. Billy Smith was not in goal. Coach Al Arbour decided to go with Kelly Hrudey, and we'll show you the only goal of the game. First of all, Peter Zezel tangles with Kelly Hrudey. Hrudey out of the play. There's a pile-up in front, and the puck just sat there until Ilka Sinisalo gave it a home. That was the only goal of the game. It came in the second period, and then they played it on through, right on down the stretch. And the Islanders were unable to beat Pelle Lindbergh, who was absolutely brilliant in this series, recording his second shutout. And so the Philadelphia Flyers eliminate the New York Islanders 4-1. And you'll have to think that there'll be some of the older veterans on the Islanders with some nervous stomachs over the course of these summer months. Al Arbour and Bill Torrey won't sit for that. On Tuesday night, then, it sets up the Adams Division final Game 6. Between the Montreal Canadiens and the Quebec Nordiques. The Canadiens played horribly last night. The Nordiques won the game to go up 3-2 in the series, and so that's where we will be on Tuesday night at Le Colisée in Quebec City. Let's go up to Al Albert and Gary Green. They'll tell us exactly where we sit in this game.
Well, perhaps the noise volume here in the Chicago Stadium tells you it has come down a couple of notches.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, that the Chicago Blackhawks better get their act together in this third period, Al, or they're going to be in some trouble. The North Stars have the momentum going. Once again, we saw some real defensive lapses by the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't know whether or not they get overconfident when they get a big lead, but they sure haven't played well in some games we've seen when they've had that lead.
Well, the Blackhawks were the real high when they took a 4-0 lead as Steve Larmer scored the goal, and it appeared as if the Blackhawks would have the rest of the week off.
Steve Larmer in that second period really had some excellent opportunities to control the puck-wise. He has in the whole game. Savard just threw the puck out. Larmer just takes that extra crack at it. Once again, you can see that number 6, Belichick, for the North Stars, he had his man, number 20, Al Secord. But Gordy Roberts really did not have his man. There were 3 Blackhawks there, though, and only 2 North Stars.
That made it 4-0 in favor of Chicago. Just a minute 20, Tony McKegney finally cracked the ice, but this was the one that brought Minnesota back.
You can see number 27, Daryl Sutter, he just wheeled with that shot. Now remember, the Blackhawks were on the power play. This is the shorthanded goal. Keith Acton picks it up along the boards. Now when he makes that drop pass, when you're killing a penalty, you just don't usually do anything else but shoot the puck on net. Let's forget, you could see Acton, he made his circle out of the area. He wasn't going to go for that net. He was going to think defensively. They really didn't expect that puck to go in by Bannerman, but it did.
The psychology in sports. At the end of the first period, Chicago had scored a goal with 6 seconds left in the first. They led by 2. Minnesota was really down. Here it is at the end of the second period. Minnesota still trails by the same 2 goals, but they're fired up.
Well, they really are. They should be fired up, let's put it that way. Anyway, and the Blackhawks, they have got to be thinking right now, uh-oh, is this going to happen to us again? Same thing as in game number 1. Are these Minnesota North Stars going to come back in the third period? What they've got to do is they've got to take the game, as Steve Larmer said, let's not worry about what the North Stars do. Let's worry about what we do. We've got to take the game to them, play our good, hard-skating, physical style of play, and go for it in this third period. They don't want to have to go back to Minnesota Tuesday.
And at this point, at the end of the second period, Chicago has not canceled their reservations in Minnesota for Tuesday as of yet. North Stars get ready to come out.
And Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Mount Hood means the best summer skiing in America. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee. Milwaukee beer and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light. Old Milwaukee. And Old Milwaukee Light.
Taste as great as their name.
Man, it doesn't get any better than this.
What are you going to do for me?
This Friday and Saturday, Night Flight presents Smithereens,
Everyone's a little weird these days. It's normal.
the first film from Susan Seidelman, director of Desperately Seeking Susan.
You know, I've been trying to hook up with a band.
The story of one girl's search for the rock and roll dream on Night Flight, all night. Starting at 11 p.m. Eastern on USA Friday and Saturday.
Rex Harrison is caught in a web of World War II action and intrigue in A Time to Die on the USA Movie at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific on USA Sunday.
Hahn Chrysler Plymouth doesn't have a sale very often, but when we do, it's an event. Our second big sale of the year is just around the corner. It's happening this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's going to be bigger than ever. Hahn Chrysler Plymouth, Sale-a-thon 85. 6.9 financing, special hours, incredible low prices on one of Yakima's largest used car inventories. Cash bonuses on every car, up to $500. It's going to be hot, so get ready for Hahn's Spring Sale-a-thon 85 this weekend.
The Stanley Cup playoffs on USA are brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Heading into the third period of play here at the Chicago Stadium. It's the Blackhawks 4 and the North Stars 2. The Blackhawks scored the first 4 goals of the game. The North Stars have come back with the last 2, including a shorthanded goal. And now the big crowd of over 17,000 here at the Chicago Stadium, seeing if the Blackhawks could turn it back the other way. 5 seconds still in a Minnesota power play as Ben Wilson now comes out on the ice and the teams are at equal strength. Tony McKegney, who got it going for Minnesota, to Marouk. Marouk has Platt coming in front, drops it to Hartsburg, poked away by Wilson. Wilson breaking away, he's dragged down. Here's Troy Murray coming in, the backhand swept away by Beaupre, but there'll be a penalty coming up on Minnesota as Doug Wilson breaking away from the pack.
This isn't exactly the way the North Stars wanted to start out this third period. They gave up the puck at the blue line. Of course, there was a lot of pressure there. Doug Wilson, as Craig Hartsburg took a swat at it, number 4 for the North Stars, and then did some holding and hooking to draw Doug Wilson for the Blackhawks down to the ice. Now, Troy Murray, he just picked up where Wilson left off. He goes in. He didn't have much of an opportunity. He just went to the backhand. Pretty easy save for Beaupre to make. Hartsburg is in the penalty box right at the 26-second mark.
The Blackhawks 0 for 3 on the power play tonight. 26 seconds in. Remember, the last time the Blackhawks were on a power play, Minnesota scored. Brian Bellows to put the North Stars back in the hunt. Wilson. That, by the way, was the 4th save by Beaupre since he came in midway in the second period. Wilson plays it cross ice to Murray. Savard, Larmer, and Secord up front for Chicago. Savard trying to wrestle it away, and he is ridden out of the play by Big Dave Richter. Larmer. Murray comes in deep. And now it's Savard playing the puck. Broughton hawking him. Richter steps in. Savard still has it. Starts the other way. Right in front. Beaupre goes down and makes the save.
Oh, Larmer doesn't usually miss those because he was expecting Savard to feed that puck right across the crease to him. He was looking to go up high. Beaupre, nice save.
A minute and a half into this third period. 4-2 Chicago. A Blackhawk win. And they advance to the next round to face the Edmonton Oilers for the conference championship. Gord Roberts clears it off his net. Battling there with number 27, Darryl Sutter. Kick free, comes back to the point. Keith Brown. Doug Wilson. He fires the tip. Save. Rebound. And a North Star right on top of it, Gord Roberts. If he was on top of it in the crease, that would result in a penalty shot.
I'm not sure who made the save. Was it number 10, Gordy Roberts, or was it Beaupre? They were both standing in the crease. The shot was taken, and we've got some double goaltending going on there. A big shot by number 24, Doug Wilson. Well, Beaupre did make the first save, and there you can see Gordy Roberts pushing, first of all, Daryl Sutter, the captain of the Hawks, out of the way, and then going down and helping Beaupre cover up that puck just to ensure that no other Blackhawk got a stab at it.
Minnesota could use all the goaltending they can get. Trail by 2. Keith Acton will face off against Tom Lysiak. 31 seconds left in the Minnesota penalty to Hartsburg. Troy Murray taking a little cruise.
Just slowing the game down a little bit, I think.
Brown flips it across. It is Lysiak sizing up the situation. Ben Wilson closes in. He had a man open. Lysiak unable to feed it through. Troy Murray with 15 seconds left in the power play. Side of the net, Sutter, and he backhands it wide. Keith Brown onto the stick of Lysiak. Roberts spilling in front of him. Lysiak, cross ice. Murray can't hold on. The penalty is over. But the last shot, great shot by Lysiak, but Beaupre got the pan on it. And Acton taking a dive. No penalty is called, but Minnesota, Velishek lets it go.
Gordy Roberts had lost his stick down in the Minnesota end zone, so that was really a dangerous situation for the North Stars. They were able to get themselves out of it, though.
3 minutes into this third period. The Blackhawks coming back to earth late in that second. Minnesota scoring twice. Right in front, Patterson and Beaupre sliding across. Got a piece of it with his pad. Minnesota has to be lifted by the play of Beaupre. Long shot by Giles as Beaupre really responding after being way off his game in game number 4. Blackhawks scored 6 goals on 20 shots as Beaupre was removed in that game. But it is a different goaltender here tonight. He is the last resort to Minnesota. Steve Larmer rounding the net. Long pass, he was looking for Savard, and Savard now gets it. He is bumped by Cicerelli, and Cicerelli goes flying. But Cicerelli back to his skates. Sets it up to Marouk. Secord wheeling out. He has Savard breaking in front. Larmer shoots. Great save by Beaupre. Took it off the stick glove with Savard parked right at his feet. 4 minutes into the third period. Minnesota driving to come back even closer. And it's Bob Murray deep in his own zone. Played off the boards now by Wilson. He's upended by Sutter. Blackhawks bust out. Sutter across to Yaremchuk. Lysiak behind him, back to Sutter. Sutter goes in. Saved by Beaupre. And frozen by Beaupre. Coast-to-coast coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs, only on USA Sports. We'll be right back.
Excellent end-to-end action once again. You saw there Daryl Sutter just up and number 34, Ron Wilson for the North Stars. Boy, did he go flying. And this is when the Blackhawks made some pretty pass play. Number 12, Lysiak, back to Daryl Sutter, who had all the patience in the world. Just got himself in a little bit too deep. Could not find any room. And Beaupre going down, making the save. Tom Lysiak, though, made an excellent pass back to Daryl Sutter. Lysiak, a good, solid playmaker.
He has 3 goals in the first 4 games against the Minnesota North Stars. So with Don Beaupre now in goal, breathing new life into the North Star chances to stay alive. But they're still 2 goals behind. 15 minutes, 15 seconds left in the third. Hartsburg, he drills it in front, and the tip by Payne deflects 5 rows into the crowd.
That's exactly what the North Stars have got to do this third period. Keep shooting away every chance they get down there. They had some excellent screens set up in front, and with Craig Hartsburg able to shoot the puck as he can, just let him blast away as much as possible, keeping them low.
The shots on goal through 2 periods, Minnesota with 27 and Chicago with 22. Bannerman faced 54 shots Friday in Game 4 and 41 shots in Game number 3.
So he's had lots of action. He's not the least bit rusty. If anything, the question is Murray Bannerman ever going to get tired after being under that much work and that much pressure?
He's played every game for Chicago, all but 13 minutes in the Detroit series in one game. His stomach, again, cramping up. He's had those problems this year. And Warren Skorodensky came in for 13 minutes, gave up 2 goals. Another reason why you're seeing Bannerman through out. Yaremchuk, number 15, deflects it ahead to Lysiak. Lysiak has Sutter, cross ice. 4 for the Blackhawks, 2 for the North Stars. Chicago leading the series 3-1. One more win for Chicago, it's over. Minnesota pulls this one out dramatically. They go back to Minnesota Tuesday night. Yaremchuk falls down. The crowd wanted a penalty. Minnesota led by Acton, but 2 of the North Stars too enthusiastic about it in offside. It's the place to stay for live Stanley Cup coverage. USA Sports. Hope you're enjoying the action.
We are today's typical traveling business couple.
Our jobs take us separate ways.
So essential to our relationship is the precise use of time.
Trust.
And of course, United Airlines.
United serves the top business centers.
And all 50 states.
They take us wherever, whenever.
I'm doing 9 cities in 7 days.
I'm 8 cities in 6 days.
Only United could handle a couple like us.
See you in a week. Good luck, Martin.
Same, dear.
You're not just flying.
Judith?
Martin?
You're flying the friendly skies.
Welcome back to the Chicago Stadium. Al Albert, along with Gary Green and Al Trotwood. NHL Stanley Cup playoffs on USA. 14.5 minutes to go in this 3rd period. Here's Wilson walking in. The shot and the tip by Platt, but wide. Good chance there for Minnesota. And an offside.
You heard Harold Snepps tell Al Trotwig that they are going to have to do some pressing, and as a result, there's going to be some 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s, and no doubt there will be the odd breakaway. The North Stars down by 2, and as a result, they have to do some pressing. You look at the bench right now, and you know what they're thinking. Exactly what Snepps told you they were thinking, that if they do not do it in this 3rd period, then it's off to the golf course. Uh-oh.
Platt gets it right in the face off the face-off.
Wow, that was really in a dangerous position. Platt getting it right near the eye, just under the eye. That must have been from Fraser's stick. Let's take a look and see. You can see that Platt being cut under the eye, but he is holding that eye shut as Doc Rose is doing some work on it. Boy, that is dangerous, Al. You just hate to see those situations arise. A player could end his career pretty quickly with a serious eye injury.
And the irate Glenn Sonmore, and you know the story of Glenn Sonmore, who lost an eye playing hockey. And Willie Platt, who has been in the middle of the action. And Chicago responding, and you see Glenn Sonmore as his big policeman, Willie Platt, now on his knees, and probably could thank his lucky stars that he did not get it in the eye. Well, we'll return after these words from our local systems back in Chicago in a moment.
I was looking for a new car and found out Ford outsells everyone in the Northwest. I also found out it's easy to drive away this new Escort, the best-selling car in the world. Or for just a little more, I could step up to this roomy front-wheel drive Tempo. And it was just another easy step all the way up to this classy Thunderbird.
No wonder they're number one. Well, I made my choice, but now you have to take the first step and hurry to your Northwest Ford dealer during the Step Up to Ford sale.
Willie Platt has scored it off the ice, but Gary, he skated off under his own power, which would perhaps indicate to us that he had his full vision and was hit in that corner and not hit on the eye. So Platt is now back in the locker room, and this is Platt being escorted just a moment ago to the steps where he'll then go downstairs to the locker room.
Let's hope, Al, that he does have full vision, and that is the case. The scary part is the fact that when you get cut that close to the eye, chances are the blade of the stick, which is fairly wide, chances are that it did hit a part of the eyeball as well, and we will hope not in Willie Platt's case.
Well, there's that bullet by Marouk. Bannerman, but there was an offside. Marouk has to feel there is a goal somewhere in that stick tonight.
You know, it's just burning in Dennis Marouk. I used to say, as a coach of Dennis Marouk, that if Dennis Marouk didn't score in the first or second period, then sometimes he really got so frustrated with himself in the third that it worked against him. We will see what happens in this third period, but no question about the fact that Marouk could have scored at least 2 goals in this game so far.
Off the face-off with Willie Platt, we would have to say that it was an accidental stick. Either that or Bob Myers did not see it, because no penalty was called. And it happened so quickly. 14 minutes to go in this third period. The Blackhawks leading 4-2. And how do you think the Blackhawks may respond now? Or rather the North Stars with their fallen policeman.
Well, you can get mad. That's what you can do. And if you utilize that in the right way, get the adrenaline flow and the intensity going, it'll work to your favor, maybe.
Here's Fraser. He puts it between the skates. Remember, Fraser and Platt went at it earlier tonight. They went at it in another game, and Fraser on the ice when Platt went down. Here is Marouk in front, and another opportunity. Marouk goes by the boards.
That's very unusual. When Marouk has that many chances in a game, usually that puck goes in for him.
Marouk steals again, getting more and more determined. Cross ice to Cicerelli. Savard clears it away. Hartsburg off the boards, and he fires that over the head of Bannerman. Larmer is ridden off the play by Broughton. Secord, but Savard was offside. So now Minnesota on the delay offside against the Blackhawks. Get it out. 4-2, Chicago leads. Broughton goes in, turned around by Secord. Payne the backhand is wide, and he takes a rap at Bob Murray after the shot. The Blackhawks coming out, led by Larmer. This is Steve Payne from Minnesota. They head onto the stick of Broughton. Poke check by Larmer. Giles to Broughton. He had Hartsburg coming all alone in the slot. 12 minutes, 12 seconds remain in period 3. The Blackhawks leading by 2 goals. Bannerman works it away from Bellows. Secord takes a bump by little Keith Acton. And Secord pushes Acton as he works his way up the ice, and Secord will be going for 2. So it is Acton instigating, and the North Stars winning on that exchange with the score. Chicago 4, Minnesota 2. Back with the North Star power play after this.
Can you believe it? JT with an $18 million contract?
Sure is a long way from the playground.
Think he still drinks Strohs? Yeah. Hey, guys.
JT, Mr. Millionaire.
Richard. Timothy.
Oh, this is all right.
Glad he didn't forget his friend.
Or his Strohs. Where is the Strohs?
Out by the pool.
The pool?
Strohs and Stroh-Lights.
Now that's a cooler.
Fire brewed for smoother taste.
I've kind of got a chuckle right now because Keith Acton used to play for me for Peterborough in the Ontario Hockey League. Al Secord used to play for the Hamilton Junior Red Wings in the same league. Keith Acton used to like to run at Al Secord all night long and then turn around and laugh at him. Secord would take a penalty. Well, that's pretty much just what happened in this particular circumstance. Acton took a run at Secord. Secord responded. by getting up and shoving Acton's face into the ice, and as a result, Secord gets the roughing penalty. 12:08 was the time, and the North Stars get an opportunity on the power play. Acton did it again to him.
The North Stars 0 for 4 on the power play tonight. Acton goes down, doesn't get a whistle on that one. So Acton, who is probably a theater major, taking several dives here tonight. Minnesota looking to move to within one. They need a goal here. Bill Gardner. And this is Bellows being hawked by Patterson. Hartsburg wheels away from Ludzik. Ludzik and Patterson, the penalty-killing unit for the Blackhawks. And Acton winding it up for Minnesota. Pitches it in, and chasing back for it is Murray. And here comes Ludzik. One man back is Wilson. Ludzik shoots, and it goes off the side of the net. 50 seconds left in what has been a powerless play for the North Stars. Graham leads it back for Broughton. Look to return for Graham. Comes back to the point. And here's a breakaway for Chicago. Troy Murray coming in. And he fans on the shot as he got the heat from behind by Neil Broughton.
Great work by Broughton.
Dirk Graham, 21, fighting for the puck, and Ben Wilson comes in and clears it all the way down. Just 20 seconds left in the Minnesota power play.
Al, have you ever seen a better way to come back and take the man out without getting a penalty and really ruin Chicago's chances to score?
Giles heads in for Minnesota. Gord Roberts loses it at his skates. Time wasting. 4 seconds on the power play. Cicerelli as Secord out of the box. Cross ice to Giles. Pulls the trigger high. Cicerelli flanks it off the post. He had the open net. Giles fires. It's tipped right into Bannerman. Cicerelli got the stick on that one. And instead of tipping it into the open net, tipped it across into the crease under Bannerman.
The crowd's going wild here at the Chicago Stadium, but I'll tell you, Murray Bannerman has got Mother Luck on his side right now. Look at the opportunities the North Stars have had. Bannerman was flopping all around the crease. Mind you, when you're playing well, they say luck is on your side, and Bannerman has been doing that. There had to be 3 good chances to score on that shift alone. The North Stars could not do it.
A programming note, Herbalife will be seen immediately following tonight's hockey game. We have 9 minutes and 38 seconds left in this third period. Chicago holding on to a 4-2 lead, looking to wrap up the series here tonight in Game 5. Teams are at equal strength. Troy Murray winds it around the boards. Frazier fights through. Beaupre, who has closed the doors on the Blackhawks since coming in midway in that second period for Gilles Balache. And the play is whistled down, an offside call with 9:17 left in period number 3.
Time running out, and it's in favor of Bob Holford and his Blackhawks. 9:17 remaining. The Blackhawks right now have to be very, very conscious of how they're playing in their own end zone. The North Stars have been forcing them to run around a little bit. They've had their chances. Chicago's got to play a little bit more of it in Minnesota's end. That's the best way to protect the lead.
The word on Willie Plett is he is okay, outside of the fact that he has a cut around the eye and he lost his contact lens. Here is Marouk. He fires, and it hits a defenseman's skate. So Marouk, who has had at least 5 great chances tonight, but shut out. And here is Dennis Marouk. One year he scored 60 goals. Another year he scored 50. And now the veteran with the North Stars coming over from Washington, Tony McKegney. McKegney fighting his way through. And Yaremchuk can't clear him out, but McKegney can't keep it in. 8.5 minutes left in this third period. Brian Bellows kicked away by Lysiak. And Ben Wilson chases back for Philadelphia. Hartsburg from Minnesota. Across to Giles. forecheck by Lysiak. Sutter now on top of the play. Bellows coming back. Puts it right in front, and his defenseman Hartsburg starts out. Hartsburg leads the attack. Here is Acton. Drops to Berglund. Yaremchuk takes a golfing shot at it. Berglund on net, and it's swept aside by Bannerman with Bellows standing right there. The time, 7 minutes and 50 seconds to go. Giles winding it up for Minnesota, and he puts it into the corner. Larmer clears it out for Chicago. Leap pass to Secord. Secord busting in. Secord shoots. And smothered by Don Beaupre. For our local systems, we'll pause now. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs only on USA Sports.
This summer, you can have more fun than ever in a Sea Eagle, the best inflatable boat in the world now at Carrots. You can rent a Sea Eagle for a day or a weekend. Put it in your trunk, and you and your friends will start a weekend of fishing, camping, river running, or exploring for just $25 in a Sea Eagle inflatable boat from Carrots. This summer, try rafting before buying your Sea Eagle. Rent a Sea Eagle today at Carrots, Yakima's River Floating Headquarters. Carrots, 1107 Fruitvale Boulevard.
Chicago Stadium, over 17,000 packed here, and we have 7.5 minutes left in period number 3. No scoring in this third period. Chicago scored the first 4 goals of the game. Minnesota late in the second period came back with 2 to put themselves back in the hunt. But they have been shut out here in this third period by Murray Bannerman. DuPont winds it around. Larmer on the right wing, but he is turned back the other way by Gord Roberts. Broughton. He has Wilson at the point calling for the puck. Right in front, Jam scores! Ciccarelli! Minnesota bounces back to within 1.
That caught the Blackhawks by surprise. Ciccarelli from behind the net. He just tucked it. Now the North Stars are really humming. Watch Ciccarelli, number 20. He just comes right around behind the net, tucks it in nicely. Number 44, Steve Payne, had been pushed into the crease. He didn't interfere with Bannerman at all, but the reason why the goal was scored was simply a clever play by little Dino Ciccarelli.
And he loves it even more here in Chicago. The fans here really get on his case. The North Stars, can they do it? They were down 4-0. Down but not out. They have now moved to within 1. 3 straight goals for Minnesota. 6:50 left. Chicago with the puck. O'Callaghan at the blue line. Plays it around the net. Patterson, 26 for Chicago. Scrapping along the boards with Hartsburg. And O'Callaghan shoots it right back. And Graham plays it down. Ciccarelli's goal, his 3rd of the playoffs, from Broughton and Roberts at 12:53. Chicago 4, Minnesota 3. Racing, Yaremchuk. And Giles heads him off at the pass. Graham with Lysiak. Lysiak right in front. Beaupre didn't even see it. It went off his stick and carried him to the crease. Here's Yaremchuk doing his act again. Lysiak, he has Sutter in front, and he shoots it wide. And Minnesota storming out with Acton leading the charge. 5 minutes, 50 seconds left in the third period. Yaremchuk for Chicago. Sutter was at least 3 steps over the line.
That's a typical case of where Ken Yaremchuk needs some work on his playmaking. He should have just fired the puck down in the corner.
Let's go downstairs now to Al Troutwig.
Well, I'll be back in the USA studio at the end of this game for the mobile player of the game. Right now, Murray Bannerman certainly leading the way in the vote getting from our broadcast booth upstairs. Of course, Dennis Savard also has a goal and 2 assists, and Steve Larmer has a goal and an assist. Now that, of course, providing that Chicago holds on to this lead. If this changes, things will change with our mobile player of the game. Back to you.
This has been a wild and wacky series, and the pattern remains the same here tonight. 5 minutes, 42 left.
Al, it's got to be awfully frustrating to 2 coaches like Bob Pulford and his assistant coach Roger Nielsen, who are pretty defensive-minded coaches, to have a 4-0 lead and see their team blowing it.
These two teams have averaged a combined 10 goals a game. They're under their average tonight, only 7. And we'll come back to center zone. These two teams were 21 points apart in the standings. Chicago in second place with 83 points. Minnesota just won 25 games all season in fourth place with 62 points. But an injury-riddled season for the North Stars, and Gary, this has been as healthy as they have been all season long.
And I think had they been healthy, Al, all season long, their performance would, without question, have been much better. You've got to give the North Stars an awful lot of credit right now. I'm kind of putting the blame on the Blackhawks, but let's give the credit to the North Stars. They have been a tough team that are continuing to come back. They may win this hockey game yet.
But time now ticking closer to 5 minutes to go. Acton firing out for Minnesota. Acton in front. And McKechnie was tied up by Brown and never got the shot off. And now it is Chicago just clearing it out anywhere they can to stop play. Live Stanley Cup playoff coverage, coast to coast only on USA Sports.
We improved the new Ford Escort in a lot of different areas. We improved it in the area of performance with quicker acceleration. We improved it in the area of efficiency with better gas mileage. We even improved it in the area of comfort, not to mention just about every other area, too, which is quite impressive for a car already the bestseller in this area. Have you driven the best-built American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
Minnesota climbing the mountain, trying to get to the top. Trailed by only 1. They once trailed by 4. 5 minutes left in the third period. Broughton dumped in front of the net. Hartsburg. There was a man right there, Neil Broughton. Broughton, Bannerman tips it away, and now it is Minnesota still controlling. Broughton behind the net. And he is bodied by Savard, who clears it out. So the Blackhawks would have been happy to just ice it. Minnesota with the heat up to high here in Chicago. Payne, his clearing pass. As Savard golfs at the puck. And now Minnesota starting out. Broughton cruises. Here is Cicerelli. Turned around by Ben Wilson. Larmer with 4 minutes left in the third period for the Chicago Blackhawks. Taking their time. Troy Murray shoots it in. Beaupre stops it. He has Murray right on him. And now clears onto the wing. Here's Marook. And that sails into the crowd.
We've got an update on Willie Plett's condition. He has received a couple of stitches in that small cut underneath of his eye, but he will not be back in this game. And one would most likely consider the fact that his vision is a little bit blurred, I would expect, with that cut being so close to his eye, but he's going to be all right.
It happened so quickly. Did you see whose stick he took there?
I can only assume it was Kurt Fraser's, and I'm sure it was very unintentional.
Well, Harold Snapsu joined Al Chadwick in between periods and said that his team would be back. And they've come far, but not far enough at this point. 1 goal behind. 3 minutes, 39 seconds left. Perhaps in the season for the North Stars if they don't get one more behind Bannerman. Ron Wilson skates it in. Cross ice to Graham. Pulls the trigger. Kick saved by Bannerman. Graham in front. Wilson tries to turn around. Gets it to Graham. In front. Shot. Score! The North Stars do it. They have tied it up. Again, Tony McKechnie with a big goal with 3:17 left. And this place is stunned.
You talk about unbelievable. This Minnesota North Star team, they're just not going to quit. Tony McKechnie and Dennis Marouk combining. Gordy Roberts in there. The North Stars are one bunch of happy hockey players right now. It's a brand new hockey game. You can see McKechnie. He just chipped that puck up on his backhand, up and over the fallen Murray Bannerman. Al, we've got a thriller here.
Well, maybe now that the Islanders have been eliminated, the Islanders' spirit has shifted to Minnesota. The North Stars, down 4-0 in this game, have come all the way back. It is now tied at 4. McKegney's second goal of the game, his 7th of the playoffs, 6 against Chicago. Graham and Wilson on the assists at 16:43. Yaremchuk puts it in front. The shot by Sutter goes wide. 2 minutes and 50, and we face another possible overtime after these two teams went double overtime Friday. Here's Sutter, who was a hero in that game. And Yaremchuk is broken up. Brian Bellows goes cross ice. Acton, the long drive, and it's deflected hard off the glass. 2.5 minutes to go. Sutter, his clearing pass, broken up by Broughton, who has really been in the middle of it for Minnesota. Cicerelli, who scored the 3rd goal. Yaremchuk, and he is smothered along the boards by Roberts. Lead pass to Cicerelli. Drops it to Broughton. His shot smothered by Wilson. Broughton, though, stays with it. Broughton still with the puck. Broughton in front, and he is sandwiched by 2 Blackhawks. 2 minutes on the nose remaining. Broughton glued to that puck. Cicerelli, he has Kane in front. Right in front to Broughton, and he can't keep it on his stick. The time remaining in this 3rd period. Broughton, he has Kane in front. Saved by Bannerman. Didn't even know it was coming. And the race for the puck. Savard with Roberts. Clearing pass kept in by Larmer. Save, rebound. Beaupre rejects it. Larmer, his backhand shot, and it's blocked by the defense. A frantic finish here in Chicago. With 1:20 left, it's all tied at 4 apiece. In essence, we're in overtime already. Doug Wilson, kick saved by Beaupre, and it's cleared by Gordy Roberts and sent all the way down. Nobody's sitting in the seats now.
Can you believe this action? If they have to go into overtime, are they going to have anything left? One end to the other. That shot that hit Beaupre's skate, I think just on the inside of his skate, it really hurt. You could see that he stayed down there, and when he did get up, boy, he was limping. We have had just one series of scoring opportunities. Seesaw battle here.
A reminder, Herbalife will be seen immediately following tonight's hockey game. And now we face the possibility of overtime, but 1:07 to go. The offensives have opened up in the last couple of minutes.
1 minute remaining.
1 minute left. 4-4. Well, if you were watching the game earlier and tuned away when the Blackhawks led 4-0 and are just tuning back, welcome back to our game, and it is a game. The North Stars spurting their way back with 4 straight, and this man certainly has been a key.
Has he ever? He scored Minnesota's first goal in the 2nd period to get things going, and now he's scored the tying goal. He has been, without question, a key to the offense for the Minnesota North Stars. And we had mentioned in the first period that Tony McKegney is all heart. He plays that way. It's been quite evident, hasn't it?
Remember, in Game 4 Friday night, he put Minnesota ahead 6-5 in that 3rd period before Savard tied it up to send it to overtime. Lysiak will take the draw against Acton, and they'll go again. Adding some inspiration, he's sitting behind the goal. Sick that he can't come back in. Willie Plett, who took a stick in the eye here in the 3rd period. But more of the inspiration for Minnesota. Saved by Beaupre. 50 seconds left as you saw Plett positioned behind the goal. Here's McKegney, and he shoots it wide. Taken off the boards by Sutter. He has been Mr. Clutch for Chicago, and he's on the ice here. 37 seconds left. It is Hartsburg. Gets it out to Bellows. Bellows unable to move Ben Wilson. 29 seconds to go. Chicago winding up for a final assault. Troy Murray from behind, Atkins shot, kick saved by Beaupre, and he smothers it. That one came out of nowhere.
I don't know how Beaupre saw that puck. You said it exactly, Al. It came out of nowhere. Troy Murray doing an excellent job of just working and working, but he left the puck, and it was just picked up and fired. And Beaupre coming up with that tremendous save. Beaupre, since he's come into this game, well, he's been perfect. He has not been beaten and has come up with one save after another in crucial times. He's done what Harold Steps hoped that he would do.
And Glenn Sonmore will give Beaupre a chance to rest with a face-off dangerously in his zone. Beaupre, who gave up 3 goals on the first 5 shots by the Blackhawks Friday night, gave up 6 goals in the 20 shots before he was removed. And he has been brilliant here tonight, showing you a little more of what we were talking about, his effectiveness against Chicago.
No question about the fact that, well, maybe Beaupre got just warmed up when he came in, and maybe that was the whole key. He had not played in a long time, and as a result, Glenn Sonmore did not think twice about pulling Meloche and putting Beaupre right back in tonight.
Beaupre during the regular season played 31 games, a 3.69 goal average, 3-goalie system in Minnesota with Meloche, Beaupre, and Rolly Melanson, who was acquired from the Islanders. Beaupre had not played for 20 days until the game. It was a Thursday night in Minnesota.
Now, big face-off here, especially for Chicago offensively, but you can see the importance defensively for the North Stars as they align. Who is going to win this draw?
Savard taking it for Chicago. And Broughton for Minnesota. And the North Stars clear it down. They'll be very happy to go on. 12 seconds to go. Broughton shoots it in. And that's what the North Stars are playing for now. But one of the North Stars was in offside. 6 seconds left in regulation. Did you ever think we would be referring to it as that? The North Stars have stormed back from a 4-0 deficit, one of the great comebacks in their playoff history. And now they'll try to see if they could pull it off.
Murray Bannerman, who had a comfortable 4-goal lead, has seen his club really fall back defensively. And Bob Pulford has got to be shaking his head right now with the position his hockey club is in going into overtime.
And the chorus of boos now from the crowd here at the Chicago Stadium. Bob Pulford, it's a good thing they did not cancel the reservations in Minnesota Tuesday. There is a chance they may be going back. They have blown a 4-goal lead, but still have the opportunity in overtime to take it. The Minnesota North Stars, and you notice how they are kind of bopping down the stairs. They're a little happy about things right now as the North Stars have come from behind with 2 goals here in this third period to tie it up. We're in overtime. The score, Chicago 4, Minnesota 4. Back with our overtime intermission after this.
Sounds like there's a bear in the beer.
What are we going to do?
I'll be right back.
Where's he going?
He's going to get that beer from that bear.
That's not just a bear. That's a grizzly.
Yeah, but that's not just a beer. That's fire-brewed Stroh's. I thought we had 3 cases.
Well, had to make a deal.
Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire-brewed for smoother taste.
A psychologist takes a sentimental journey into her romantic past.
You gotta give it time. You can't just pick these things up again like a book that you never finished.
Yes, we can.
Surprising.
Oh, Eric, my God.
Sensual.
What are you gonna do to me?
Everything.
Talia Shire, Keith Carradine, John Belushi. A USA premiere event.
Just like old times, you kid?
Old Boyfriend. Monday, May 13th on the USA Network.
Sudden death overtime in Chicago, brought to you by Toyota's exciting cars and trucks for 1985. Toyota invites you to see them at your local dealer. And so, once again, these two teams have played through regulation. 60 minutes complete, and it's 4-4. In the third period, it was all Minnesota. Dino Ciccarelli's goal at 12:53 made it 4-3 Chicago. And then Tony McKegney with some perseverance and assists from Graham and Ron Wilson at 16:43 tied the score at 4. And so for the second straight game in this series, sudden death overtime looms. And I guess really when you think about it, for one team to score 4 straight, it should really just tell the other team that it's possible for them to score 4 straight too. So Minnesota has done just that, and we get ready for sudden death overtime. With me in the studio is Dan Mandich of the Minnesota North Stars. Dan, we watched the closing few moments. We were agonizing with every shot, watching every save. It's really crazy, but that's what's great about Stanley Cup hockey.
That's right, and the way these two teams have been playing against each other and coming back, it just adds to the suspense.
What have been the outstanding performers in this game so far?
Well, Neil Broughton and Ron Wilson have been playing outstanding, in my opinion. Willie Plett, Marouk line, McKegney, that line has been actually our best line throughout the playoffs. And I think on our team, Donnie Beaupre went in there, and he's been playing really well since he's gone in when he took Gilles' spot. Savard's always an asset to Chicago. And Doug Wilson's a tremendous hockey player. And then you got Secord out there, and he's a good player too. So, they got the balance of good hockey players playing well for each team.
Now, Willie Plett, of course, had his eye injured in a strange instance in that third period. We're not quite sure what happened. We do know that he was cut on the eye, had a couple of stitches, lost his contact lens. Willie's a player of great desire. Now, they said he wasn't going to come back in the game, but I would think if Willie could find a spare contact lens, he'd be out there in this overtime.
I think he'll be out there even without the spare contact lens. I think Willie, he's such a big part of the team. The team needs him to be out there. And the way he is, the type of person he is, I'm sure he'll be there for the overtime.
Now, what kind of games have you had in your career that rival this kind of pressure? Can you relate what it is like to play in a game like this, not to be the player who will make the mistake that gives up the winning goal?
Yeah, that's in everybody's mind. Who's going to get the winning goal and who's going to give it up, and who's going to be the scapegoat, so to speak. We've had some tough games against Chicago. Personally, I can relate to games against Chicago and a few against St. Louis, but none that I think compare to this game right here. Like for us, it's a do or die. It could be a long summer for us, if we lose right here. And I think the guys are going to be in there, and there's a lot on the line right here.
Well, so remember what happened on Thursday night. 12 goals between these teams in regulation time, and then it was Gary Green who said, now watch, this one will turn around and we'll go into a defensive shell. And it didn't really happen that way in sudden death overtime. There were lots of chances, but there were no goals through the entire first sudden death overtime. That is a very wild situation. Now, I would think both teams would want to try and end this one quickly because they're very, very tired. I know they must be.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the game will be ended because the game has been a wide-open style, not like the other game that started closing off at the end. Guys were picking up guys more in clutch and grab. But tonight so far, the third period was wide open. I don't know why Chicago is letting us play that way. I think we're going to do well if it continues to be that way.
All right, Dan Mandich has been our guest. By the way, he injured his hand in the last regular season game, and he could return to the lineup any time now. We're in between regulation and overtime. Minnesota and Chicago. We'll be back in a moment on USA.
I got me a hard-to-please woman, so I got me some 501 blues. You know what I mean? Got me a hard-to-please woman, so I got me some Levi's 501 blues. You know there's so much more than just button-fly jeans. They shrink to fit me so personally, and now my hard-to-please woman's having a hard time pleasing me. Well, she used to make me holler. You know she used to make me scream. That's right. Now all I gotta do is walk in wearing my Levi's 501 jeans. And then my woman says, baby, have mercy on me in your butterfly shrink to fit 501 jeans. Yeah, my hard-to-please woman's having a hard time pleasing me. Thanks to my Levi's 501 jeans.
A quick reminder that tonight on USA, the Herbalife Success Special will come on right after hockey here in Chicago as we get ready for sudden death overtime. Through 60 minutes, it's the Chicago Blackhawks 4 and the Minnesota North Stars 4. Elsewhere in the playoffs tonight in Philadelphia, the Flyers got only one goal, but one heck of a goaltending performance by Pelle Lindbergh to defeat the Islanders and eliminate them by a score of 1-0. The goal by Ilkka Sinisalo. By the way, Kelly Rudy was in goal for the Islanders in that game. Let's go upstairs now to Al Albert and Gary Green.
And the big crowd here in Chicago certainly stunned. This has been, so far, the best comeback in the playoffs. There have been several teams down 3 goals to come back, but none have been 4 goals down to come back.
I can't get over the fact that this Minnesota North Stars team, they just never quit, Alan. One could have thought, as I did in the second period, when they were down 4 goals, then you get thinking in your mind, are they going to resort to kind of rough house hockey now, and are they frustrated, are they intimidated in the fact that now they're going to go out and really try and beat up the Blackhawks or something? But they didn't do that. They used good sound discipline, and they just used what is going to eventually get you some goals, good forechecking.
They were down 4-0, scored 2 goals late in the second period, and then in the third period, after Willie Plett went down, Minnesota responded.
Very difficult for Bannerman to make this save, but yet he saw Ciccarelli coming out from around behind, and he watched Ciccarelli. I just don't know how he left any room at all that low. Well, then you see McKegney coming back, and this is the goal that tied it up and really sent this crowd here at Chicago Stadium into the doldrums. Tony McKegney just getting a piece of that puck. That's all it took. In that particular play, you see Bannerman, he's down, and he's been down quite a bit in the third period. Now we bring up the point of, is Bannerman tired to the point that he's starting to flop around a bit out there under pressure? And do Chicago, in fact, have to consider, if they do lose this game, is Bannerman going to be ready to play Tuesday night? But again, overtime looming.
In the overtime game Thursday night, after the teams combined on 12 goals, a 6-6 tie. First period was both teams pretty much in a shell. It was your typical overtime period. What do you expect here tonight?
I'm going to go back to, I think, the same philosophy that we used on Thursday night, Al, and that is the fact that most overtime games are settled early in the overtime period. And so in which case, if it hasn't been settled in the first 5 minutes, then I think teams are once again going to get tired. It didn't happen, as you recall, until the first, I believe, 3 minutes into the second overtime period Thursday night. So, folks, hang on. It may be a long one again tonight.
An incredible story in Don Beaupre stepping in the net for Gilles Malache midway in the second period. He was destroyed Thursday night, giving up 6 goals on 20 shots. So far tonight, he's faced 19 shots, and he's rejected all of them.
You know, that's a psychological lift. When all of a sudden you're down 4 goals, the coach makes a goaltending change, that kind of says to the team, now you get a fresh start. And unfortunately for Malache, it wasn't his night. It wasn't Beaupre's night the other night. And so I think maybe at times, too, your players, if they like your goaltender, they're going to try that much harder for Beaupre. And the fact that he had a tough night the other night, and so they really responded out here tonight for Beaupre.
And Al Troutwig, it is a fresh night again for the Minnesota North Stars.
No question about it, Al. We're looking forward to another sudden death overtime, the kind of sports excitement that only the Stanley Cup playoffs can provide. Edmonton and Philadelphia already know they've got a week off to rest themselves and get ready for the conference finals, but it is something that Chicago will have on their mind. They know if they lose tonight, they've got to go back to Minnesota, and that's how quickly a 3-1 lead can turn around in a best-of-7 series. In the meantime, Montreal and Quebec still battling it out as we get ready for the conference championships and the Stanley Cup playoffs with so much more to be decided. We'll be back.
This dip is filthy.
Yeah, this is great.
Hey, where's the mobile station?
Why go there?
Mobile Super Unleaded gives my turbo better performance than ordinary gasoline. Take a left at the sofa.
Do I make a right at the sofa to get to the mobile station?
Why?
My car runs better on higher octane Mobile Super Unleaded.
Take a left. That stuff really works.
When you've got a long way to go, it's nice to go with a friend. The 1985 Toyota Standard Bed truck toughened up this year with more horsepower than ever, so you know it can carry its share of the load. The new Toyota Standard Bed truck at only $59.98.
Friend, you're worth twice the price.
Right now, cash incentives to dealers could save you big money on a cargo van or truck.
Welcome back to the Chicago Stadium. It is overtime again in game number 5. They went to a double overtime in game number 4, in which the Blackhawks won in Minnesota on a goal by Darryl Sutter at 1:57. And here they go again. After the Blackhawks led 4-0, Bob Pulford saw that lead wiped up dramatically by the North Stars, as Pulford paces never thought he'd be watching an overtime period tonight.
I think through all the years that Bob Pulford has been a player and a coach in this league, he has experienced it all, Al, and so I'm sure that his dressing room talk in between periods had a lot to do with about forgetting the last 3 periods. It doesn't matter now. Let's worry about the upcoming overtime, and Glenn Sonmore, you can just feel it in the atmosphere around the Minnesota North Stars bench when they tied things up in that 3rd period. He's a pretty happy man right now, but you can forget all the glee of tying it up. You got a brand new hockey game.
Last time on Thursday night when we went into overtime, Roger Nielsen, the assistant coach of the Blackhawks, was Al Troutwig's guest, and he made a comment that overtimes generally are finished within the first 5 minutes. The goal is scored. What's your reaction to that?
I feel exactly the same way as I indicated, that generally teams don't want to lay back. There's no reason to. You've got to take it to them and try and get it over with as soon as possible. But these two clubs, they have got the same thing in mind. And let's face it, if you got to give anybody the edge right now, you've got to give it to the Minnesota North Stars. They have had the momentum in the last half of this game, and they have taken it to the Blackhawks.
They have each played only one overtime game in the playoffs, and that was in game number 4. The next goal sets it up. Either Chicago wins the series, or they head back to Minnesota Tuesday night for game number 6. Beaupre, who has made 19 saves since he came in midway in the game. Minnesota has outshot Chicago 36-35. Here's Hartsburg with Berglund. He walks in. Oh, he shot it over the net. Bannerman was out. The net was yawning for Berglund. And it's Darryl Sutter, the hero Thursday night, shooting it out. Well, that would have beaten the 5-minute mark by 4.5 minutes.
We've said it before, you're not going to get many better chances than that to score in overtime. Bannerman making an excellent move, and Berglund, as you see him, number 17 for the North Stars, a little dejected right now. Let's set it up. Hartsburg making the pass to Berglund. Now Berglund makes a great move here, but so does Murray Bannerman. He poke checks as he was going down, and that puck just went high over top of the net. Now we're back into Minnesota territory.
And Marouk facing off against Troy Murray.
Think Marouk is overdue.
He's taken 5 shots in the game. Here's Murray with the steal, restolen by Roberts. And of Marouk's 5 shots, 4 have been dead on. 2 breakaways. O'Callaghan plays it off the boards. Gets it ahead to Murray. Troy Murray, who has been silent. Murray going in. Murray still with the puck. Right in front. O'Callaghan. A knuckle puck. And here comes Marouk out. Leap pass to Graham. Busting along the boards. Graham in front. Marouk scores! Dennis Marouk overdue. He had many chances, but he saved his best for the last. And the Minnesota North Stars, just 1 minute and 14 seconds into the overtime, have completed perhaps their most dramatic comeback in their Stanley Cup playoff history. Down 4-0, they streak back with the last 5 goals of the game.
Al, I'm kind of proud of this little guy, as we're going to get a chance to see that once again. He just goes streaking through the defense, and when he gets that opportunity, he let that puck go. You've got to give a lot of credit to Graham, who did the work, and he sent it right out to Marouk, and Marouk just fired that puck home. The reason I'm kind of proud of this guy is the fact that he used to get down, as I mentioned earlier, after 2 periods, and he would, what players would say, kind of, Pee-wee would get his lip on, and he would kind of drag it, and he would pout a little bit, but he has matured as a hockey player. He really did not quit. He just kept going.
And that is it. Just 1 minute 14 into the overtime period. The final score, Minnesota 5, Chicago 4.
The ad was right. 6 rooms, beautiful view, needs work.
You're doing it right. You're doing it right. You're doing it, doing it. You're doing it right. You're doing it right. 'Cause it means more when you're doing it for yourself.
Stanley, for the quality of your life.
Stanley helps you do things right.
Sounds like there's a bear in the beer.
What are we gonna do?
I'll be right back.
Where's he going?
He's going to get that beer from that bear.
That's not just a bear. That's a grizzly.
Yeah, but that's not just a beer. That's fire-brewed Stroh's. I thought we had 3 cases. Well, had to make a deal.
Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste.
Bad days. Everybody has them.
Hello? No, not even with both of us working. The baby is crying. I gotta go.
Even the littlest thing can set you off. Stop. Take time out. Count to 10. Get hold of yourself before you take hold of your child. Write Prevent Child Abuse, Box 2866, Chicago.
Get ready for more action and excitement this week on USA's Crime Busters. First, Jan Michael Vincent is a sniper who takes aim at Toma. Then someone's gunning for Griff's friends. Can Griff protect them? And does a beautiful psychic foretell a deadly fate for Stone? Find out on USA's Crime Busters. Starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, Wednesday. Book it.
See the surgeon operate. Undefeated Frankie Randall on Friday Night Boxing, right after TNT at 9 Eastern, Friday on USA. At 11:30 Eastern Time tonight on USA, stay tuned for the Herbalife Success Special. That's coming up at 11:30 Eastern Time tonight here on USA when we wrap up hockey. The final score here in Chicago, the Minnesota North Stars 5, the Chicago Blackhawks 4 in sudden death overtime. It only lasted 74 seconds. Dirk Graham, a courageous charge up the right side, and somehow Dennis Maruk was alone in the slot to beat Murray Bannerman and send this series back to Minnesota for Game 6. Coming up after hockey, once again, the Herbalife Success Special as we wrap things up from here in Chicago. Our mobile player of the game is with me in the studio. It is Dennis Maruk. They call him Pee-wee. Sometimes little, but a big, big goal for you tonight. And I guess if there's any poetic justice in this game, the goal belongs to you. You had so many chances that you missed, and then you finally put in the big one.
Well, I couldn't find a hole on Murray Bannerman. He played a great game, and I just couldn't idle our scoring chances. And he robbed me 2-3 times. I hit the goal post, the one chance, but he played very well for them.
Dennis, we're going to get a chance to look at this goal. I'm sure it may be a blur in your mind. You may want to take a look at it again. It's a great charge coming out of your own end.
I blocked the shot there, and I saw Dirk going up the right wing. And he had some speed, so I just kept going. We had Tony McKegney coming up, too, at the same time, so we had 3 players. And Dirk made a great play here. You can see he took it wide. The defenseman tried to take him out, and he just slid across. I was wide open. You can see Bannerman was way out of position there, and I had the whole shot corner there. Just hit the net.
Now, the similarities between this game and Game 1 are amazing. I mean, Chicago had a 3-0 lead in that game and blew it. They had a 4-0 lead in this game and blew it. Does having that experience of knowing you can come back from a big deficit help you in a game like this?
Well, I think both teams work very hard. I mean, when you get up 3-4 goals, you've got to keep pushing, keep the pressure on. If you let up, the other team's going to score some goals, and that's what happened. Chicago let up, and we got some goals.
Biggest goal of your career?
Yes, it is a big goal. Got to go back to Minnesota.
It's amazing. Darryl Sutter said the same thing when he scored in overtime, and now Dennis Maruk sends it back to Minnesota with the biggest goal of his career. The mobile player of the game, Dennis Maruk. For being with us, he'll receive a beautiful analog digital quartz chronograph watch from Laura's Quartz Watches and Clocks and a handsome multicolored windbreaker from Toyota Line's fine line of genuine sportswear. The biggest smile in Chicago belongs to Dennis Maruk. The final once again, 5-4, the North Stars over the Blackhawks. We'll be back in a moment on USA.
Good morning.
Hi.
Can I interest you in an ordinary gasoline?
I'll stick with Mobile Super Unleaded.
You need something to slow this thing down.
I'll stick with Mobile Super Unleaded.
I just saw the gas. The octane is so high.
Thank you.
This thing runs so good, I'm getting angry. I'm getting out.
I'm getting car sick.
The USA movie. It's action.
That's just to let you know we're not talking through our hats.
Adventure.
Didn't say that again.
Comedy.
I'm gonna do a good job too, Captain. You just watch and see.
Romance. The USA movie at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Thank you, partner. Well done indeed.
It'll make your day.
Once again, a quick reminder that Herbalife will be seen right after we close things out here in Chicago Stadium as you look at the final score in overtime. Dennis Maruk, the hero, at 114, and the Minnesota North Stars defeat the Chicago Blackhawks by a score of 5-4. The Stanley Cup playoffs on USA have been brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste. Stroh's, official sponsors of the National Hockey League. By Mobil One Synthetic Motor Oil. You can't buy better engine protection. And by Toyota's exciting cars and trucks for 1985. Toyota invites you to see them at your local dealer. And so Tuesday night, we look forward to Game 6 of the Adams Division Final. The Montreal Canadiens facing elimination. The Nordiques have the 3-2 lead. We'll be live at 7:30 Eastern Time at Le Colisée in beautiful Quebec City for that one. Until then, for Al Albert and Gary Green, I'm Al Troutwig. Good night from the Windy City. The executive producer of USA Sports is Jim Drake. Tonight's game was produced by Mark D. Stolberger and directed by Bruce Troy. Our associate producers here in Chicago, Stephen Feder, and back at the USA Broadcast Center, Tim Rapley. USA Sports production coordinator is Barbara Travers. The Stanley Cup playoffs are a presentation of USA Sports.
Live coverage of the NHL playoffs. Division final action coming up next.